This page is the front cover of SEGA Saturn Magazine Weekly, dated March 28, 1997. It's volume 9 and priced at 390 yen. The cover image is dominated by a large, imposing figure that looks like a robotic or monstrous character from a game. The magazine is promoting a special feature to help players enjoy Sakura Wars even more deeply. Featured articles in this issue include Sound Novel Street, Last Bronx, Neon Genesis, Evangelion Second Impression, Thunder Force V, Manx TT Superbike, Sky Target, Sakura Wars, Hanagumi Columns, and even titles like Elf wo Karu Monotachi and Seabass Fishing 2. You can also see mentions of games like Quo Vadis 2, Advanced World War, Tokimeki Memorial Selection featuring Fujisaki Shiori, Dragon Master Silk, Langrisser IV, Magical Hoppers, J-League Victory Goal 97, and a horse racing game called Yushun Classic Road, amongst other things. This page features a striking and minimalist design with the word real prominently displayed in white chunky letters at the top, followed by a barcode graphic and then the letter S in the same style but slightly smaller. At the top left you can see the Warp logo, the developers known for pushing boundaries. Given the previous page mentioned Sound Novel Street, this page is definitely highlighting the Sega Saturn title Real Sound, Kaze no Regret from Warp, a very unique and experimental sound novel game. The visual style here is very impactful and creates a sense of mystery and intrigue around the game. It looks like a dedicated feature page focusing on this specific title, possibly delving into its innovative, audio-only gameplay or its development. This page continues the focus on the innovative Sega Saturn game Real Sound. You see the word real implied with the braille at the top, and the end of the word sound boldly displayed below in large white letters on a black background. The page emphasizes the unique concept of this title being a completely new type of game from Warp, one played entirely through sound, and describes it as an interactive story. It also confirms the release window is set for summer 1997 on the Sega Saturn. The page is clearly building excitement for this very unusual and intriguing audio-only game experience. This page showcases the action-packed Sega Saturn game, Valva Battle. The page is visually striking with bold red graffiti-style Japanese text above the game title, which seems to be shouting, "Let's battle!" Dominating the page is the name Valva Battle, with Valva in white and Battle in a large, impactful red font. To the left, we see cool character artwork, giving us a glimpse at the game's style. The text at the bottom highlights that this is the first battle-type armed car action game for the Saturn. It boasts 12-player scenario mode and up to 6 players in versus mode. You can team up in tag battles and team battles, offering diverse multiplayer options. The game promises a wide array of over 60 weapons to choose from, including things like black hole cannons and wave motion guns, suggesting over-the-top, futuristic vehicle combat. The description emphasizes intense car battles that are sure to be exciting. The page also mentions a standard price of 5,800 yen before tax. Overall, it's a high-energy advertisement, hyping up the explosive and versatile gameplay of Valva Battle. This page is all about the Saturn game Valva Battle, and it's really ramping up the excitement for its release. The page screams, "Finally, it's happening!" at the top, right above a huge, dynamic illustration packed with characters and vehicles clashing. It's described as an unprecedented entrance exam battle, boasting 15 elite pilots fighting for victory. Below the main artwork, they're showing off the 6 main vehicle types you can choose: buggy, 4-footed gun, road roller, rally car, hover, and battle tank, each with a cool little icon. There are also a few small screenshots giving a peek at the gameplay and menus. On the right side, there's a little advertisement for something called Twin Operator RGVC2, which is a video CD and photo CD player for the Saturn. The text at the bottom gets into more details about the game, mentioning you can customize your vehicles with engines, tires, batteries, and armor, letting you create unique machines. They also highlight the original characters designed by manga artist Yuki Hiroshi, and the music is by Furuta Itetsu and Kawakami Hiroaki, promising to make the battles even more intense. This page is dedicated to the game Grand Red, proclaiming, "This is SF, a space fleet that roars." It's a full-page advert for the game, showcasing the title logo prominently at the top, Grand Red, with the SEGA Saturn logo tucked to the side. The page is visually striking, with artwork of a mech in the center, flanked by character portraits on either side, all set against a cosmic red nebula backdrop. There are 3 small screenshots at the bottom showcasing different aspects of the game, one emphasizing the character drama in a quest-style format, another showing small unit battles in what looks like a strategy setting, and the last focusing on large-scale, multi-unit polygon battles. The advert also highlights that the game is a simulation and was released in April 1997, priced at 5,800 yen. It's clearly published by Banpresto, with their logo displayed at the bottom right, and contact information for customer inquiries. Overall, the page is a bold and exciting advertisement aimed at SEGA Saturn owners interested in space fleet simulation games. This page is an advertisement for Tokimeki Memorial Selection. Fujisaki Shiori. It proclaims, "Nice to see you again," and "I'm happy." This game is presented as a private software just for Fujisaki Shiori fans, coming directly from Fujisaki Shiori herself. From the popular Tokimeki Memorial series, the text explains that Tokimeki Memorial's Fujisaki Shiori is back to answer the fans' voices. It's a variety software filled with songs and minigames, promising happy times spent with Fujisaki Shiori. It's described as a treasure for Fujisaki fans, straight from Tokimeki Memorial. 2 screenshots are featured, one labeled Music Clip and the other Private Date, hinting at the content of the game. The game was released for both PlayStation and SEGA Saturn on March 27th, at a price of 2,800 yen. The page also mentions a My Sweet Valentine album by Shiori Fujisaki, which is already on sale for 2,000 yen. The advert is by Konami, with their copyright displayed. There is also mention of a Konami Big Chance campaign. This page showcases Classic Road, a horse racing simulation game that's touted as the pinnacle of the genre. The game's tagline is, "Challenge famous horses," and it boasts being released on this very day for 5,800 yen before tax. The page features a dynamic illustration of a jockey riding a powerful-looking racehorse. There are also smaller text boxes, likely detailing famous horses within the game, such as Narrated and Sakura, perhaps suggesting famous racehorses of the time will be included. In the bottom right corner, a man is pictured, presumably a game reviewer, and his comment praises the game, stating that each play year is analyzed in detail. This hints at the depth and strategic elements of the simulation aspect of Classic Road. It is clearly a SEGA Saturn title, as indicated by the logo and legal text at the bottom. This page continues showcasing Classic Road, emphasizing it as the ultimate horse racing simulation game where dream matchups become reality. The tagline, "Battle, Dream Confrontation is right here," perfectly sets the stage. Classic Road is described as a serious simulation focused on racehorse bloodlines. You take on the role of a horse owner and trainer, aiming for victory in the prestigious Japanese Derby and other major races. The game lets you play through the years 1988 to 1996, and you can even enjoy it with up to 4 players simultaneously in 3 different battle modes. The page is packed with screenshots showing off various aspects of the game. You can see screens for checking horse locations on a map and managing their schedule, viewing detailed horse stats and conditions, monitoring training progress through graphs, and analyzing distance suitability and temperament. There are also exciting race scenes from different angles, highlighting the full polygon graphics, and a paddock view, where you can judge a horse's condition before a race. The game boasts surprising realism with racehorse bloodline data. It includes an enormous database of over 1,000 thoroughbred horses, with annual data updates to stay current. It delves deep into bloodlines, featuring 5 generations of pedigree information and incorporating inbreeding and parent compatibility (NICs) concepts for strategic breeding. Finally, the page mentions it's copyrighted from 1997 by Victor Interactive Software, who are both the developers and publishers of Classic Road. This page promotes Gameware, a 2-disc set promising a dazzling experience. It highlights the RPG Club, a GE-backed initiative encouraging user-created RPG content. Previews include Edgicon, an arcade puzzle game, and Vivid Boy's Great Adventure 4, a space surfer action game, both for 2 players. The page also features a digital comic, Legend of Sabura Part 3, with voice acting, potentially linked to Virtua Fighter. A Game Experience Corner offers Necronomicon, a digital pinball demo. Gondora-kun, a two-player tower-building minigame, is also featured. GameWare offers an experience corner and information, promising Megaton-class satisfaction. A giveaway offers a chance to win a ProJoy mountain bike VTT 200 as the prize. This page is an advert for GameWare Volume 4, promoting it as a packed and renewed experience for SEGA Saturn owners. It's a 2-disc set and boasts a variety of content for 2,980 yen. Featured is a boys and girls collection, described as a collection of video and sound clips of Peachy Peachy high school girls. There's also a fun slot minigame where you collect medals, challenge yourself to reach certain numbers, and even use passwords to win prizes. For those interested in fortune telling, there's Barbara Konomi's numerology to check your luck in love, money, and more. Continuing the digital comic series, Older Brother is featured, promising laughs with its nonsensical older brother stories, this time about Chinese takeout in a port town. A minigame called Yuppie's Puzzle Land, a puzzle game for 2 players, offers new sensory puzzle action. Beyond minigames, GameWare Volume 4 includes new software previews, movie information, and a digital gallery of submitted works. Finally, there's a thanks campaign running with a deadline of April 7th, offering prizes such as a Sega Digio camera for 35 people and an Albaspoon ingot watch for 100 people. This page is all about the game Assault Suit Lanos 2, which is called Ovenrei in Japanese. It's presented as a fusion of anime and gaming, promising a grand story with deep emotion. The game tasks you with commanding the Assault Armor Corps through intense tactical missions across diverse stages. The page highlights key features like over 70 stages, with varied battles, more than 50 characters appearing in the story, and fully voiced anime cutscenes. It also lists some of the voice cast involved in bringing the characters to life. The screenshots show a mix of gameplay perspectives, including strategic map views and action sequences, hinting at a blend of tactical and action elements within the game. It's developed by Glams and appears to be promoting the game's engaging story and deep character roster. This page continues the hype for Assault Suit Lanos 2, also known as Ovenrei internationally. The page really emphasizes the dramatic and emotional core of the game with the tagline, "For victory, what will you lose?" You can see a massive mech dominating the artwork, with a diverse cast of characters positioned around it, hinting at the large story-focused narrative mentioned previously. It reconfirms the release date of April 4, 1997, for the Sega Saturn, priced at 6,800 yen, and highlights it's a 2-disc simulation RPG. The bottom section also promotes related media, specifically mentioning a radio show and drama creds tied into the game's universe, expanding the experience beyond just the game itself. It's clear they're pushing the rich story and character depth as key selling points for Ovenrei. This page is all about adventure and strategy bundles for the Sega Saturn. They're pushing an adventure pack that combines 2 mystery-solving games, 7 Mansions of Mystery, and Myst. They're billing it as a great deal, highlighting Myst's big hit status overseas. The pack is priced at 8,800 yen. Below that, they've got value set series promotions for strategy game fans. You can see Nobunaga's Ambition, Howden, bundled with Nobunaga's Ambition, Returns, and Sangokushi V with Sangokushi Returns, both at discounted prices compared to buying them separately. Looks like a good way to grab some classic adventure and strategy titles if you missed them the first time around and want to get more bang for your buck. At the very bottom, there is a recruitment section for people wanting to join the game development crew. This page introduces the Sega Saturn word processor keyboard set, making a big transformation to your Saturn. It boasts easy operation and simple color printing, claiming it's super convenient. The set is for those wanting to use their Saturn for more than just games. You can use it for word processing. They emphasize how quickly you can type long sentences with the keyboard, making document creation a breeze. It also highlights the beautiful color prints you can get, suitable for postcard sizes up to A4, continuous paper, and even boasts being compact for easy placement. They are really pushing the speed of document creation, suggesting it's great for things like New Year's cards and thank you notes using the intelligent text composition function. Plus, it comes loaded with Tokimeki Memorial clip art, popular characters that can be used to create cute cards and stationery. The set contents include the Sega Saturn keyboard, the Eggward Ver.1.02 software, the BJC 210J printer, and the printer interface. The special set price is 34,800 yen and it's slated for release on March 28th. Essentially, they're promoting the Saturn as a versatile tool for both gaming and everyday document creation. This page showcases a striking full-page advert for The Crow, City of Angels game. It's clearly promoting the game as a 3D fighting experience, with vengeance as its core theme. The tagline emphasizes this with 3D fighting with a vengeance. The Japanese text below further adds to the atmosphere, describing it as the vengeful ghost that soars through the dark skyscraper. You can see logos for both SEGA Saturn and PlayStation at the top, so it was released on both consoles. The advert also mentions a release date of 4/25 and a price of 5,800 yen. It's published by Acclaim Japan Limited. The overall tone is dark and edgy, fitting with the theme of The Crow. This page is dedicated to the SEGA Saturn game, Those Who Hunt Elves, a command selection adventure based on the popular manga and anime. It's slated for release in April and priced at 7,800 yen for a 2-disc set. The page highlights the voice cast, featuring photos of Seki Tomokazu, Yuko Miyamura, Michi Tomizawa, and Akio Misato, who are lending their talents to the game. There's also a pre-order campaign mentioned, where buyers receive a poster and a CD as bonuses. The game is advertised as a faithful adaptation of the source material, with screenshots showing dialogue and gameplay scenes. Additionally, the page lists other Those Who Hunt Elves media, such as the monthly manga, audio dramas, and soundtrack crids that are already available or coming soon. It seems like a multimedia push for the franchise. This page showcases the SEGA Saturn game Dragon Master Silk, a 3D comical RPG. The headline screams, "Suddenly become heroes? Silk's grand adventure, let's get started." It seems the story revolves around a group of young warriors embarking on a dungeon adventure, with the tagline emphasizing, "Let's go!" The page highlights features such as vast dungeons, promising over 60 hours of gameplay, and digital animation. They also mention auto-mapping, suggesting easier navigation in these dungeons. There's a section dedicated to the voice actors, praising their performance with, "Gorgeous voice actors." Instead of listing them all, it's mentioned that various voice talents contribute to the game. The game was slated for release on March 28, 1997, priced at 6,800 yen. As a first edition bonus, players would receive an original character sticker. This page is an advertisement for the SEGA Saturn game Sankyo Fever Real Machine Simulation. It's highlighted as a SEGA Saturn exclusive and features a picture of a woman in a bikini kneeling next to a pachinko machine on a beach, with the tagline, "Finally, I met you." The game, releasing on April 4th for 5,800 yen, promises to bring the excitement of real pachinko machines to your home. It includes simulations of popular machines like Crossing Fever Beach, CR Fever, Big Powerful FX, Fever Ninja 9 Imaki SP, Missile 76D, Akudaman SP, and Carrot Boy. There's also mention of a Windows 95% version of Sankyo Fever Real Machine Simulation already on sale for 4,300 yen, featuring Crossing Fever King SP and Fever Megaopolis SP machines. As a bonus for early buyers of the SEGA Saturn version, there's a release campaign where you can win prizes, and the first press editions come with special Sankyo original trading cards. A dedicated pachinko handle controller for the SEGA Saturn is being released at the same time, allowing for a more authentic pachinko experience at home. This page is an advertisement for Interwave, which is presented as a Dial Q2 internet provider for the SEGA Saturn. The ad heavily emphasizes its affordability and ease of use, proclaiming, "Initial fee, none. Monthly fee, none. Credit card not required." It boasts that you can get online in just 3 minutes, and all you need is your SEGA Saturn and a dedicated modem. The page provides a simple, step-by-step guide on how to get your SEGA Saturn online using Interwave. It walks you through everything from turning on your Saturn and inserting the Interwave cry drum to configuring the dial-up connection settings. These settings include things like the DNS address, login ID, and password. The guide uses screenshots from the SEGA Saturn interface to illustrate each step, making it easy to follow. It even touches on useful features like bookmarking web pages for quick access later. Finally, the advertisement includes contact information for Interwave, including their address, phone numbers, website, and email for customer support. It also clarifies that while there are no initial or monthly fees from Interwave, you are still responsible for the standard telephone charges for the duration of your internet connection at a rate of 20 yen per minute. This page is showcasing strategy guides and art books for a few popular games. The main focus is on the Premier 2 strategy and setting material collection for the Can Can Bunny series. This book, for both the Windows and SEGA Saturn versions of Premier 2, is advertised as a 96-page full-color guide packed with complete walkthroughs and detailed graphics. It's aimed at being the definitive preservation edition for fans. Below that, there's an ad for the Eve Burst Error Original Art and Setting Material Collection. This 96-page book is for the adventure game Eve Burst Error, and it promises original artwork, setting materials, staff interviews, and even basic knowledge about the Eve game world. Lastly, we have an advert for the Kichiku Lance Official Setting Material Collection. This is a hefty 200-page book for the Windows 95 simulation game Kichiku Lance. It's highlighted for its beautiful graphics, detailed scenarios, and strategy tips. It even mentions a bonus B2 size poster drawn by Alice Soft as an extra incentive. This page showcases the game Underclassmen, or Kakusei in Japanese. It seems to be an advertisement for the SEGA Saturn version of this title from the developer Elf. The page uses the tagline, "Throb of the Heart," and is packed with small images showing off various scenes from the game, featuring anime-style artwork with romantic and suggestive themes. You can see a variety of characters and situations hinted at in these snapshots, highlighting the game's focus on relationships and perhaps a bit of risque content, typical of games from Elf. It's clearly trying to entice players with its appealing character designs and promise of a heart-fluttering experience. This page seems to be continuing the promotion for the game Underclassmen, or Kakusei as it's known in Japan, from Elf. It's using the phrase, "Oh, I want to tell you," as a tagline, and highlights that the game is on sale from April 25, 1997, which was a Friday. It's being sold as a 3-disc Crodrom set at a suggested retail price of 7,800 yen, not including tax. The page is filled with smaller images that look like scenes directly from the game, showing off the anime-style artwork and hinting at the romantic and potentially mature content given the 18+ age rating clearly displayed at the bottom. It's really pushing the game's availability and trying to entice players with glimpses of the characters and situations they can expect in Underclassmen. This page is the contents page for SEGA Saturn Magazine, Volume 9, dated March 28, 1997. You can see a muscle-bound dude, front and center. Looks like he could be straight out of Last Bronx or another fighting game from that era. The page highlights the contents of this issue, starting with a special report on page 34. This section features a bunch of games, including Last Bronx, Neon Genesis Evangelion Second Impression, the awesome shooter Thunder Force V, the arcade racer Manx TT Superbike, and the light gun game Sky Target. Further down the page, they've got more games listed. There's Underclassmen, continuing the focus from the previous page and reminding everyone it's on sale. Then they have Sakura Wars columns, a puzzle game based on the popular Sakura Wars series, followed by the mech fighting game Cyberbots, and something called People Who Know Elf, which is likely talking about other titles from the same company behind Underclassmen. They also mention the simulation game Ambition and Politics, the strategy RPG Langrisser IV, and finally Sega Base Fishing 2 for all the fishing fans. There's a special feature on page 71 all about Sakura Wars, with the tagline saying, "Let's make Sakura bloom on Saturn, to enjoy Sakura Wars even more." Looks like they are really pushing the latest and greatest games for the SEGA Saturn in this issue. This issue features SEGA Saturn game updates. New release titles include Mooncradle, Valkis Slash, and Legend of K1, plus Myst and Tokyo Shadow. Coming soon, Software highlights Quo Vadis 2, Advanced World War, and Graduation S, along with Tokimeki Memorial Selection, Daikukai Jidai 2, and Shin Samurai Spirits. Other upcoming titles include Magical Hoppers, Pacific Theater of War 2, The Conveni 2, Pachislo Winning Strategy, and Advanced vs. G. A soft complete guide covers J-League Victory Goal 97 and Yushun Classic Road Worms. Sega's AM teams are highlighted. AM1 with the House of the Dead, AM3 with Top Skater and Virtual on Crossover, and AM2 with Vera Striker 2 and Scud Race. The game index and table of contents are also included for easy navigation. This page announces that Falcom, a veteran PC game developer in Japan, is bringing 3 of their classic RPG titles to the SEGA Saturn under the Falcom Classics label. Japan Victor JVC, is publishing these titles. The announcement highlights that this collaboration was driven by Japan Victor's strong request to bring Falcom's renowned RPGs to the Saturn. The article mentions a press conference where Falcom's director, Mr. Yamasaki, expressed his enthusiasm for developing for the Saturn platform. It is emphasized that these Saturn versions are not mere ports, but enhanced original versions, with adjusted difficulty and map layouts for modern players. They are planning 2 modes in total to cater to different user preferences. The games specifically mentioned are Dragon Slayer, 1984, Xanadu, 1985, and YS, 1987. The page features screenshots from Dragon Slayer and Xanadu, as well as artwork of Adol Christen from YS. The article notes that the initial limited edition of Falcom Classics will include a special disc with character images, movies, and other bonus content. They expect to release it as a 2-disc set, priced at 6,800 yen. WISE is described as a particularly significant title, having expanded beyond games to comics, music creds, and OVAs, making it a widely recognized series, especially its first installment. SEGA Saturn owners have reason to celebrate. SEGA is re-releasing classic games like Virtua Fighter 2 and Dragon Force under the Satakali series for 2,800 yen each. A new single-handed ASC 2-grip X controller for RPGs is also coming for 2,600 yen. Customization fans can get a SEGA Saturn word processor/keyboard set, 34,800 yen, to create stickers. Model kit fans have new releases, with Evangelion Unit 01 and Bardiel as prizes, and Mobile Suit Gundam side story kits, including the exam system, and Jim Blue Destiny Unit 1 for 9,800 yen. In other news, Licca-chan celebrates her 30th anniversary and debuts as a virtual idol. Anime fans can look forward to the Slayer's Return LD and video release, 7,573 yen. Finally, new creds from artists like Tumix and HAL are being released. The next page delves into connecting your SEGA Saturn to the internet, titled Riko Sakata's Internet Trek Pre-Night Festival. It's presented by Riko Sakata, who talks about the confusing world of internet on SEGA Saturn and aims to clarify how to get online. The article highlights 2 key points: choosing a provider and modem availability. It mentions that getting a SEGA Saturn modem might be tricky and directs readers to SEGA Network Support Center for information. They also discuss contacting local retailers or Lawson stores to inquire about modems. The page features tables comparing different internet providers like Budaman Internet, Sonet, Pcomnet Internet, Rimnet, and Purara, outlining their access points in various Japanese cities, initial fees, monthly costs, and contact numbers. It simplifies choosing a provider by advising users to check compatibility with SEGA Saturn at support centers. The article also touches on technical aspects like connection speeds, noting that while analog at 28.8 kilobits per second was common, digital at 64 kilobits per second was also available. It advises considering factors like cost and speed when selecting a provider, and mentions services like MightNet and Purara. The article concludes by confirming that internet preparation for SEGA Saturn is progressing, and that Riko Sakata's Internet Trek will officially start from April 11th, encouraging readers to enjoy SEGA Saturn internet gaming. The top 15 best-selling SEGA Saturn games in Japan are revealed. Leading the pack is Puyo Puyo Sun, a popular puzzle game. Tokyo Highway Battle 97, a racing game, takes second, while Zap! Snowboarding Tricks is in third. The list continues with Assault Suit Lanos 2, Sakura Wars, Roommate Inoue Ryoko, Eve Burst Error, and Sega Ages Fantasy Zone. Tenchi Muyo Love Trouble is in ninth, followed by Die Hard Arcade. Rounding out the top 15 are Fighters Megamix, Sega Ages Memorial Selection Volume 1, Tomb Raider, Daytona USA Circuit Edition, and Disgaea, Hour of Darkness. The page also includes sales data. This page presents 2 distinct top charts. The first chart, User Data Top 20, reveals what games users are hoping to see ported to the SEGA Saturn. Topping the list is the Final Fantasy series, followed by Scud Race, Dead or Alive, and My Goddess! Other notable titles in this US or voted list include Street Fighter 2i, various Super Robot Wars entries, Phantasy Star series, Tales of Fantasia, and Persona. The page hints at exciting announcements to come regarding SEGA Saturn ports and questions the likelihood of ports for Scud Race and Neon Genesis Evangelion, Iron Maiden 2nd. The second chart, Shop Data Top 15, focuses on the most popular arcade video games at the time. Virtua Fighter 3 dominates the top spot, with Cyber Troopers Virtualon and Real Bout Garou Densetsu Special also ranking highly. Street Fighter X and Samurai Showdown IV are also present, showcasing the popularity of fighting games in arcades. Notably, Street Fighter II is featured as a newcomer, emphasizing its fresh arrival in arcades and highlighting new characters and improved graphics thanks to the CP System 2i hardware. Screenshots of Street Fighter II, Street Fighter 02 Alpha, and Gallop Racer are also included. This page reveals the User Data Top 30 chart, showcasing the most anticipated upcoming games for the SEGA Saturn. At number 1 is Grandia, described as a massive RPG with high expectations for its battle system. It's followed by Virtua Fighter 3 at number 2, which is highly anticipated despite some feeling recent information is scarce. Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, claims the third spot and is touted as even scarier than the first game, with high anticipation despite limited information. The page also presents a broader ranking from 4th to 30th place, highlighting a diverse range of upcoming titles. These include games like Biohazard, Resident Evil, Download 2, Hanagumi Taisen Columns, Mobile Battleship Nadesico, Dukyusei 2, Mobile Suit Z Gundam, Lunar Eternal Blue, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Sentimental Graffiti, Langrisser IV, Last Bronx, Dragon Knight, Dragon Knight 4, True Story of Sunrise World War, Wounded Lion Flag, Convenience Store That Town's Monopoly, and Derby Stallion. Finally, the page teases 2 more upcoming titles in the Other Check, Coming Soon section, Langrisser IV, and Galaxy Fraulein Yuna Returns, Lightning Angel. This page continues the reader's poll, showcasing a detailed ranking chart called Odds Table Saturn A, which lists a massive number of SEGA Saturn games and their reader scores. It seems to be a comprehensive list of pretty much every Saturn game readers are interested in. The page highlights reader commentary, specifically mentioning the concept of remakes on the Saturn being exciting. They point out that while new titles are great, remakes and enhanced ports of older games are also highly anticipated by fans. There's a section called Saturn Exciting Fist B Review, which further suggests opinions on games. The commentary mentions how impressed readers are with the number of quality titles continually appearing on the Saturn, even remakes. They are discussing the Aegis series, which seems to be highly ranked in this poll and appreciated by readers. They also mention the Fantasy Zone series as another highly anticipated title, indicating readers have strong hopes for upcoming releases. The page also mentions the top 3 emperors, who are seemingly battling it out at the top of the rankings, further driving reader interest. Overall, this page is deep dive into reader opinions and excitement for a vast range of SEGA Saturn games, highlighting the enthusiasm for both brand new titles and well-executed remakes. This page showcases the New Arrival Horse Introduction section, highlighting 6 recently reviewed games that are making waves with readers. Starting with the top ranks, in 4th place is Bar Gear for SegaNet, an action title with a strong score. Next in 6th place is World's Endia. I'll Be Back to the Railway of Travel, an adventure game also scoring highly. Moving down to 21st place, we see Sega Ages / Fantasy Zone, a fantasy shooting game which clearly taps into the reader's excitement for the Fantasy Zone series we talked about previously, and this version seems to be part of the Sega Ages line. Further down the list, at 114th place, is Heavy Armor Mobile Infantry Reynos 2, likely referencing Reynos 2, described as a heavy armor mobile infantry game, essentially mecha action. Then at 152nd, we have a classic Resurrected, Elevator Action Returns, an elevator action game as you'd expect, bringing back retro gameplay. Lastly, at 177th, is Cleopatra Fortune, a puzzle game that seems to be another popular title. Below this, the page continues with Odds Table Saturn B, which looks to be a further extension of the massive game ranking list from the previous page, just continuing to list Saturn games and their reader scores. This page spotlights a new game review section called New Arrival Horse Introduction, featuring the game Nomura Hospital People, reviewed by Chibachans. It's described as an adventure game developed by Elf, Released in April 1996, the review dives into the game being perceived as a simple H-game, adult game, but questions if the real truth is visible in just one playthrough. The reviewer highlights the game's depth, command selection, and multi-ending system, stating that depending on the choices, the game can drastically change. They mention that even though it has adult content, it's not just about that, and encourages players to think, act, and solve the mystery of the incident. They also include reader comments and developer recommendations, discussing the game's scenario, system, and CG graphics. To the left of the review is Odds Table Saturn C, which seems to be a continuation of the reader game rankings from the previous page. It's a long list of games with scores and genres, further detailing the popularity of Saturn titles among readers. At the bottom, there's some information about an event related to New Century Evangelion Art of Gallery, taking place in a venue with specific dates and times, including entry fees and details about the event's content. This page covers SEGA Saturn game reviews, upcoming news, and reader engagement features. The reviews include a forest building simulator with simple gameplay but dated graphics, Penguin Land with smooth scrolling despite lacking music, and a fast-paced racing game praised for its graphics but with course and collision issues. The page teases upcoming Evangelion news. Other sections highlight popular Saturn accessories like arcade sticks and memory carts, and detail contests where readers can predict game rankings and scores to win prizes, including controllers and joysticks. The overall focus is on game impressions, reader participation, and the SEGA Saturn's accessories. This page is an interview with Nagasaka Hideyoshi, the creator of the sound novel game Machi, which is coming from Chunsoft this summer as a 2 Candelas set. He's known for Otogiriso, the first game in the sound novel series. This interview, titled Continued Report, dives into the making of Machi. It took a surprising 5 years to bring to life, even though Nagasaka initially thought it would only take around 3 months to write. He talks about the massive scale of the game, with 100 characters in Shibuya, and multiple writers working on the scenario. It sounds like a really ambitious project. In an interview, Nagasaka Hideyoshi discusses his game Machi, an otaku detective story set in Shibuya. He emphasizes the complexity of the characters, especially the Rainy Dog team, and the player's role as an observer experiencing the city through multiple perspectives. He highlights Shibuya itself as a key character, capturing its evolving nature and hidden complexities with realistic locations and details. Nagasaka plans for a large-scale game, initially with 2 to 3 scenarios expanding to 4 to 5 series, featuring around 100 main characters and numerous sub-characters. He aims for a deep and immersive experience, reflecting his research into Shibuya's daily life and aiming for a lasting impact on the player. This page is all about the SEGA Saturn version of Last Bronx, which is being called Last Bronx Saturn Editions. It's highlighting the game's 1/60th motion, which they say perfectly recreates the arcade experience. They mention that development is progressing steadily, aiming for a complete arcade port for the Saturn. The focus in this article is on characters, specifically Yusaku, Kudo, and Nagi, and their development within the Saturn version. The article talks about how they're meticulously recreating the character models and animations to match the arcade, including weapon motions. They are showing off in-development screenshots and focusing on the visual fidelity, claiming it will be very close to the arcade. There's a section titled Arcade Version, showing comparison screenshots, emphasizing the shoulder and other visual details, and asking if the Saturn version can perfectly recreate the arcade experience. It seems like they are confident it can. The bottom of the page mentions that Last Bronx is a combat fighting game, slated for release in early summer, and priced at a yet-to-be-determined price point. It emphasizes that this is the latest information being made public. The completion rate is stated as 15% towards arcade perfect port. This page continues the coverage on the Saturn version of Last Bronx and is titled Saturn Version, Latest Screenshots Revealed. It's reaffirming that the first goal is a complete arcade port, aiming for total accuracy. The article asks, Arcade version? And highlights how they are striving for high-quality visuals and character modeling, textures, and techniques, claiming it's almost indistinguishable from the arcade version. They're excited about achieving a complete arcade port and emphasize that the completion rate is still increasing, suggesting further improvements are on the way. There is a section focusing on characters Yoko and Tommy, showcasing screenshots and mentioning that they are from the previously introduced characters. While there haven't been major changes, they are getting closer to the arcade versions, especially in weapon movements and basic motions. The reviewer believes the completion level is quite high. The reviewer comments on the feeling of weight and motion from the arcade Last Bronx, hoping the Saturn version can deliver the same experience, and encourages readers to wait patiently until summer for its release, suggesting it will be worth the wait. This page delves into Neon Genesis Evangelion. Second impression, highlighting a hidden scenario focused on a transfer student and the mysteries surrounding her. The article reveals that many players have already reached a high completion rate in the game. The key to unlocking this special scenario featuring Yamashina Mayumi lies in something called fortune-calling qualification, which reveals Mayumi's secrets. Completing this unlocks a unique ending with the song Kimi ga Kimi de Umareta Ryu, sung by Megumi Hayashibara, accompanied by original graphics. To experience this scenario, players need to carefully navigate dialogue choices, particularly in the prologue. Different choices lead to branching routes. The page offers hints for both early and later dialogue selections, using examples like transfer student. Screenshots showcase in-game dialogue and character interactions, giving glimpses into scenes where you might choose to go to the library, help someone with books, or discuss reading. The bottom section provides advice on reaching the macromedia ending, suggesting focusing on close-range battles in early combat scenes and ensuring you encounter Mayumi's events automatically, especially by choosing the Earth Defense Force band during the headquarters front scene. This special scenario appears to be a rewarding secret for dedicated players to uncover within Evangelion. Second impression. This page continues to explore the hidden scenario in Neon Genesis Evangelion. Second impression focused on the transfer student Yamashina Mayumi. It highlights the differences between the standard normal scenario, where Mayumi is just a regular transfer student who becomes friends with Shinji, and the hidden scenario where Mayumi appears at the same time as the angel attacks, revealing deeper secrets. The article points out that in the normal scenario, Mayumi and Shinji become close, she's invited to join the Earth Defense Force band, and they develop a normal friendship. However, the hidden scenario, triggered by something called the fortune-calling qualification, is the real focus. This scenario begins with Mayumi noticing something unusual in Shinji. The page offers more guidance on reaching this special scenario, emphasizing the importance of dialogue choices. It hints at specific scenes, like meeting Mayumi in front of the bookstore and school events, where your choices will influence the story path. There's a section called This Recollection. Scene is, which seems to show key scenes players will encounter and what they might be thinking about in that moment, related to Mayumi's health and secrets. The macromedia ending is again mentioned as the reward for unlocking this hidden scenario. The advice remains to focus on close combat in the early battles and participate in events where you can help the transfer student to progress towards this ending. The page concludes by encouraging players to uncover Mayumi's secrets and aims to help them experience this special content. This page highlights even more of the hidden bonus content within Neon Genesis Evangelion. Second impression, focusing on Asuka's graffiti in the nerve files and Misato's funny additions to them. It seems like these doodles change as you progress through the game, and the article hints that there are lots of different patterns to discover if you pay close attention. Did you notice anything strange in Asuka's drawings? Apparently there are secrets hidden within them. Next up, it introduces the Polygon EVA Viewer Mode, which is a cool feature that allows you to view the polygonal EVA units and angels from all sorts of angles. You can zoom in, zoom out, and even make them perform different actions. It's perfect for getting a closer look at the battles and appreciating the details of the 3D models. Finally, the page details the Unison game, also known as Special Enhancement Training. This is a rhythm-based game designed to improve your unison percentage with Asuka. Misato gives you instructions, and you have to press buttons to match Asuka's actions. The goal is to get a perfect 100% unison, but it's apparently a tough challenge. This training mode looks like another way to deepen your engagement with Asuka and the game's mechanics, tying into that nerve file unison percentage. This page is all about the upcoming Thunder Force V for the SEGA Saturn, marking the return of the legendary shooting game series after 4 years. It emphasizes that this new installment retains the classic side-scrolling shooting gameplay that fans love, but will feature enhanced visuals and performance only possible on the Saturn. The article introduces the player's ship, the RVRO-1 Gauntlet. It sets the scene in the year 2150, where humanity's survival is threatened, and this special combat unit, Thunder Force, is launched. The text hints at a deep story with elements like Vastille and Guardian and advanced technology. There's a special report section highlighting key info such as a planned summer release, price to be decided, and it being suitable for all ages. The page also features screenshots of the game in action, showcasing the side-scrolling shooter gameplay with intense action and futuristic visuals. It looks like classic Thunder Force gameplay amped up for the SEGA Saturn. This page continues the deep dive into Thunder Force V, focusing on the weapon select system, a crucial part of the Thunder Force experience. It explains that this latest installment features a weapon select system that is core to the gameplay, allowing players to strategically choose their weapons before missions. The standard weapons are the twin shot for forward attacks and the back shot for rear attacks, but beyond that, you can pick from weapon types like Wave, Freeway, tentatively named, and Hunter, totaling 5 weapon choices that players can switch between. The article details how you can cycle through these weapons and strategically pick the best loadout for each stage. It mentions the Claw, which is a familiar option, acting as orbiting defenses that can block enemy fire and increase your firepower based on how many you have equipped, up to 3. Also, weapon power can be upgraded up to 3 levels to become even more potent. The page uses screenshots to illustrate each weapon type in action, showcasing their visual styles and effects within the game. It emphasizes the classic side-scrolling shooting action and boss encounters fans expect, now enhanced with polygon graphics for characters and backgrounds. This page delves deeper into Thunder Force V, showcasing the new over-weapon system. We get a closer look at 2 of these powerful weapons: the Hunter, which unleashes laser-like shots that multiply, and the Twin Shot, a potent forward attack described as having piercing capabilities and nicknamed Thunder Sword during development. Screenshots beautifully illustrate these weapons in action. Moving on, there's an interview section titled, "To be continued, we have to keep our promise." The developers discuss the pressure of following up Thunder Force IV, which famously ended with, "To be continued." They acknowledge the long wait, around 5 years, and talk about finally starting development on Thunder Force. Versus the interview dives into the behind the scenes of the game's creation, with developers like Shiniguchi, Tanaka, and Hirose. Finally, the page highlights Technosoft's dedication to shooting games in a section called Shooting Commitment Technosoft. It touches upon their history from the Mega Drive days, their origins in Seibo City, and their reputation as Kyushu Technosoft. They started way back in 1980 as the Seibo Microcomputer Center, and evolved into a company known for pushing out great shooting titles, mentioning Thunder Force 2 on the Mega Drive as one of their early works, and even boasting about the scenic view from their office building. This page is all about Manx TT Superbike for the SEGA Saturn, announcing its completion and imminent release after a short development period following its initial announcement. The article emphasizes it's a speedy and impressive port of the arcade version, aiming to recreate the arcade experience at home, especially if you have a motorcycle-type controller setup. The page then dives into a strategy guide focusing on slide riding techniques. It clarifies that this isn't drifting, but controlled sliding, which is key to mastering cornering in the game. It describes the basic technique: entering a corner with full throttle, then using the handle to initiate a slide as you lean into the corner. The guide explains how to control the slide using counter steering and throttle adjustments to maintain grip and exit corners effectively. Diagrams and screenshots illustrate each stage of the slide riding technique, from corner entry to grip recovery and corner exit, emphasizing it as an essential skill for time attack challenges. This guide focuses on the Laxey Coast course in Manx TT Superbike arcade mode. It prioritizes a strong start by revving the engine to 10,000 revolutions per minute. Cornering strategies involve clean lines, maintaining momentum, and staying inside on high-speed turns. The Invita corner is best taken at full throttle with careful control. Quick turns utilize slide riding, emphasizing full accelerator use and line visualization. For the final corner, accelerate powerfully by sliding and minimizing handlebar input. An interview with Mr. Yashiro, the Saturn version producer, reveals the goal of replicating the arcade experience at home. He highlights the game's speed, exhilarating feel, and meticulously crafted controls for a realistic experience. The Saturn version boasts enhanced visuals with photo-based images and emphasizes the importance of sound design. Yashiro hopes players enjoy the game's speed and thrill. This page introduces stages for Sky Target. It highlights Mission 4, which is about sweeping away enemies below. In this mission, you'll be descending from a high altitude after a merge stage with Mission 3, engaging in aerial combat against enemies that appear in the clouds. Then it moves on to Mission 5A, described as approaching rock masses. This mission, reachable from Mission 3 if you selected the jungle surface route, takes place in a canyon surrounded by cliffs. You'll have to deal with aerial and ground attacks. And close proximity to the rock walls means taking damage if you collide. The text emphasizes skillful control is needed to navigate through this section. The page showcases some of the targets you'll encounter, like the Scepter, long-range strategic ballistic missile, and the Hrafnir, heavy-armed ground battleship. This page announces the release date for the SEGA Saturn version of the adult visual novel game Underclassmen, or Kakusei in Japanese, which is set for April 25th. It's going to be a 3-disc set, priced at 7,800 yen, and published by ELF. The big news here is that the Saturn version will feature original event scenes exclusive to this console release. Apparently, the Saturn version is getting these unique scenes and enhanced graphics, which is why it's on 3 discs instead of the PC version. The text mentions that while there are regulations on depicting adult content on the Saturn, they've aimed to keep the atmosphere of the PC version intact and deliver a proper port. The images show 2 scenes from the game, one of a girl in lingerie glancing back, and another close-up of a kissing scene, emphasizing the game's adult romance theme. It's definitely aimed at an 18-plus audience. This page continues to promote the SEGA Saturn version of Underclassmen, highlighting the exclusive original event scenes you'll only find on the Saturn. It's proudly proclaiming, "Even on Saturn, we'll show you this much," emphasizing the adult content despite console restrictions. Here, they're showing off some of these original event scenes in the top section of the page, depicting intimate moments between characters. Below this, it focuses on the game's setting, Tsukiyomi Town, and how time flows within the game world. It explains that the game world is dynamic, with time progressing as you play. You can see this in the screenshots, showing the town map at different times of day, daytime, evening, and nighttime views of Tsukiyomi Town and the school district. It mentions that the shops and schools have opening hours, and moving between buildings will also cause time to advance in the game, affecting the graphics and atmosphere to match the time of day. It's all about creating a living, breathing town where you can experience your romance. This page continues to showcase the SEGA Saturn version of Underclassmen and is really digging into the question, how far can adult depictions go? It's talking about the Saturn version having original event scenes that are different from the PC version and are designed to be appealing to players who might have experienced the PC version already, emphasizing that they aren't holding back on the adult content even for a console release. The text in the middle talks about the importance of voice acting in romance games. It highlights how voice acting brings the characters to life and allows for deeper emotional expression, especially in love simulations, where the characters are supposed to be emotionally engaging. They point out that having character voices that match the character's personality is a key point. They seem excited about the voice talent being used and how it enhances the overall experience. Below that, we can see more examples of how the graphics change with time of day in Underclassmen. There are screenshots of locations like World Park and Yokohama Nanpa Amusement Park at daytime, evening, and nighttime. You can see the window effects fading out as it gets darker and how the character graphics adjust to reflect the different times of day. It really emphasizes how the game uses time of day to change the atmosphere and graphics of the event scenes. This page delves into the single-player modes of Sakura Wars columns on the SEGA Saturn, revealing that there are actually 2 distinct ways to play solo. The page highlights the classic type, which is described as your typical columns experience, where you clear falling jewels strategically. It mentions the partner character support, a feature where characters assist you during gameplay, making it less lonely even in single player. Then there's the puzzle type, presented as a puzzle-solving mode spanning a hefty 50 stages. This mode seems to focus on clearing specific challenges within each stage, and your clear time is recorded, suggesting a time attack element for competitive play among friends. The page uses screenshots to showcase both modes. For classic type, you see gameplay with Sakura Shinguji as the partner character. For puzzle type, screenshots show various stages and characters like Sumire Kanzaki, Maria Tachibana, and Iris Chateaubriand, each stage seemingly having different objectives. The top right corner gives us a special report, boasting a 95% rating, likely an anticipation score. It also confirms the game is by SEGA, releasing on March 28th for 5,800 yen, and categorized as a dramatic puzzle game, with 2-player versus play available. Essentially, this page is a preview focusing on the solo play options for Sakura Wars columns, showcasing the 2 different gameplay styles available. This page unveils the full story mode of Sakura Wars columns, detailing the storylines for all 6 Flower Division members. Previously, only Sakura, Sumire, and Kazuna's stories were known, but now Iris, Maria, and Koran's are also revealed. Sakura's story involves a romantic fireworks festival invitation. Sumire's focuses on her role as a representative for a guest, with the gameplay screenshot showing puzzle mode. Kana's story, set in autumn, centers around her search for an encyclopedia in the library, implying a scientific purpose. The text reveals this search is initiated from Kofran's room. Screenshots show puzzle mode gameplay with time limits and percentage bonuses. This page continues the breakdown of the story mode in Sakura Wars columns, focusing on the scenarios for Iris, Maria, and Koran. Iris's story revolves around a missing cake. She is devastated that her cherished strawberry cake has vanished. The story progresses, with the protagonist and Iris setting up a detective headquarters to solve the cake disappearance mystery. It seems Kana is suspected as the cake thief. The gameplay screenshot for Iris's story showcases the column's puzzle mode, with Iris and Kana characters shown within the game interface. Maria's story is set during a night patrol in July. Maria is depicted worried about her team members, with dialogue suggesting she is concerned about recent events and wants to speak directly to the Flower Division members. Her gameplay screenshot also displays the column's puzzle action, placing Maria and Iris characters in the game. Kofran's story is set during a hot summer day, where she invites the protagonist to her room while he is fixing a broken steam bike. The narrative involves Kofran suggesting they play together, leading to a date. The gameplay screenshot shows Kofran within the puzzle game and mentions acquiring a bromide of Kofran as a reward for completing puzzle challenges. It seems the story mode involves puzzle battles to win these character bromides. This page introduces Cyberbots. Full Metal Madness for the SEGA Saturn, a game about VA battles for Earth's survival in 2099. The release date is set for March 28th, with a standard edition priced at 5,800 yen and a limited edition at 7,800 yen. The page stresses the absolute necessity of a RAM cartridge to truly enjoy the game as intended, stating, "Prepare to enjoy it to the fullest." It highlights that fans have been eagerly awaiting the Saturn version, and to experience the true Cyberbots, a RAM cartridge is essential for arcade-perfect gameplay. The page features a Q&A section explaining how the RAM cartridge dramatically enhances the animation and visual patterns in the game compared to playing without it, where the visuals are simpler and less detailed. Lastly, it mentions that the game features 9 character stories to delve into, promising a rich experience for players. The overall message is clear: get a RAM cartridge to experience Cyberbots at its best on the Saturn. This page continues introducing Cyberbots, Full Metal Madness, and dives into the 9 hot stories that players can experience. It focuses on sub-characters and their individual story arcs, giving a glimpse into the rich narrative. First up is Devilot de Death Satan, focusing on her love for Gawain and a parent-child fight. It explains she is the 51st generation queen and is on a long journey to capture Gawain's heart. Apparently, this leads to a confrontation, hinted at as a parent-child fight scenario within the game. Next, we have Jin Saotome, whose story revolves around the truth of his father's death 1 year prior. It mentions VA battles and his opponent named Shade. Jin is investigating a suspicious incident and his father's death, seeking the truth and eventually confronting Gawain, his father's superior. Mary Miyabi is featured as a first lieutenant in the Federation Army, on a mission to recapture a fugitive named Arietta. Her story explores her pursuit and the gradually revealed secrets behind the Federation Army's true objectives. Finally, Santana Lawrence is introduced as a junk shop owner living freely. He is heading to a colony in search of parts, and his story highlights his journey to the colony, where he faces resistance from strong enemies. This section introduces several characters from Cyberbots. Kagura Chiyomaru and Kotetsuzan lead a resistance fighting the Federation, with Chiyomaru as the young, capable leader and Kotetsuzan as his supporter. Shade, a weaponized pilot created by the Federation, struggles with his identity and his purpose, questioning his past and blindly following orders. Gawain Murdoch, a former Federation captain, deserted after an incident and is now a fugitive seeking his own path. Bao and Mao, 2 children, embark on an adventure riding a mysterious Omokya toy to find a shining thing for a girl. Lastly, Arietta, a bioenergy experiment escapee, flees the Federation and seeks refuge with the Resistance. This page introduces those who hunt elves for the SEGA Saturn, a command selection adventure game from Ultron, scheduled for release in April. This preview boasts a 90% completion rate and highlights the game as a 2 CD set for all ages. Based on the popular anime, the Saturn version adds original elements to the adventure. You'll play through events, team up with familiar characters, and embark on a journey to strip elves. The game world is structured with map screens, where you can freely explore towns, gather information and items. Each chapter has conditions to meet to find elves. Stripping elves reveals cursed words printed on their bodies, and collecting these words progresses the story. Clearing a chapter multiple times can reveal different endings. Your decisions throughout the game will change the story's development. During events, you'll encounter choices, such as run away or surrender, that influence the narrative. The page emphasizes the core gameplay loop is stripping elves to collect cursed words to advance, while also noting the elves themselves are powerful magic users. The page also shows examples of the map screen, an event screen with choices. This page provides an overview of the manga and anime adaptation of Those Who Hunt Elves. The story revolves around individuals summoned to a fantasy world tasked with stripping elves to collect cursed words for their return home. The manga, serialized in Monthly Dragon magazine, is known for its humor and fast pace. The anime adaptation, directed by Takashi Watanabe, aired on TV Tokyo, featuring 12 episodes with anime original elements. Voice actors interviewed include Tomizawa Michi, Miyamura Yuko, Seki Tomokazu, and Misato Machiko. They discuss their roles, the recording process, and their characters, highlighting the collaborative nature of the project and the unique elements of their characters. The page ends with a group photo and a call for audience support, showcasing scenes from the anime. This page introduces Seikai Shijinden, a political simulation board game from BMG Japan for SEGA Saturn. The game's tagline is, "Good country, good politics," and it challenges players to change Japan's tomorrow. The game is supervised by Ryuichiro Hosokawa. The page highlights that the game lets players experience political life, aiming to become prime minister. It mentions that the gameplay involves rolling dice and moving across map screens like a board game, progressing from being a citizen to a candidate, then a diet member, and finally, prime minister. The game incorporates events where player choices are crucial, emphasizing that becoming prime minister is not the only goal, but the process and political judgments are also important. The rules are described as simple, but strategic choices are essential. The game is presented as an accessible way to understand Japanese politics and become a virtual politician. The page features screenshots of the game in action, including dice rolling and map screens, and a picture of Ryuichiro Hosokawa, seemingly endorsing the game. It suggests the game is enjoyable for a wide audience to experience the world of politics. Seikai Shijinden is a SEGA Saturn political simulation where players strive to become prime minister. The gameplay focuses on leveraging luck, money, and connections to rise through the ranks. The game unfolds across 5 map stages: player selection, citizen, election, diet member, and minister, with the ultimate goal of reaching the Agari point. Players navigate life events and elections, with choices impacting parameters. Political realignment is key. Understanding shifts in the political landscape, forming alliances, and making strategic judgments are vital. Success hinges on understanding political numbers and responding to public desires. The game emphasizes strategic decision-making, and the final outcome is ultimately determined by the player's choices. This page is all about Langrisser IV, showcasing the latest screenshots from this highly anticipated strategy RPG on the Saturn. It's highlighting a brand new game system called JPS, or Judgment Phase System. Apparently, this system is a big departure from previous Langrisser titles, except Langrisser 2, focusing even more on strategic decision-making during battles. The article explains that in the JPS system, the commander's judgment is key in determining turn order. Commanders with high judgment stats will act earlier, while those with lower stats will act later. The screenshots show the game interface with hex grids and character stats, with characters like Landius the Lancer featured. We also get an introduction to a new character named Gizaroff. He's described as a 50-year-old man and a strategist from the wilds, known for his careful plans and deep thinking. He's also a master of dark magic and a researcher of forbidden knowledge, even pursuing the study of death. Finally, there's some release info. It seems like the game is planned for release in July by developer Messiah, with a special package priced at 6,800 yen and a standard edition at 5,800 yen. It's going to be an SLG, which stands for simulation game, of course. This page continues the Langrisser IV coverage, showing more screenshots of the game in action. It looks like it's still focusing on Scenario 1 and how the turn order works, which they're calling the Judgment Phase System, or JPS. There's an ad for a photo CD compilation called Langrisser Holy Sword Secret File that's coming out soon. It's a Korean drama with Langrisser series character illustrations by Yoshiki Minamoto and game data. We're also introduced to a new character called Ricky. Apparently, this is his finalized design after previous sketches. He's described as a narcissist, and the article mentions more details about his character will be in a later issue. Then there are introductions to two more characters. Serena, a 25-year-old female general serving Weiler, who is described as calm and mature, and Weiler, a 28-year-old male lieutenant in the Caracansis army. He's seen as reliable, always considering the situation and planning ahead, making him a strategic thinker. And he's said to be unbeatable in swordsmanship even by children, which is a bit of a strange boast. This page is all about Sea Bass Fishing 2, the sequel to the popular fishing game, for the SEGA Saturn. They're really hyping up the realism and improved gameplay from the first one, promising even more intense fights with the fish. The graphics are getting a boost, and the controls are more refined, so you can really feel like you're battling a sea bass. It mentions a real-life fishing expert, Mr. Nurikoshi, who is apparently a big name in saltwater lure fishing and was involved in the game's development and provided advice. There's an interview with him where he talks about how they've tried to capture the experience of real sea bass fishing in the game, focusing on location accuracy and using the right tackle for different situations. He even mentions in real life he catches 1.2 meters long sea bass. He seems really excited about the game, allowing players to experience the thrill of catching huge fish they might not be able to in real life, calling it a dream experience. The release date is listed as April 25th, priced at 5,800 yen, and it's a fishing simulation for one player. There are screenshots showing the in-game graphics, including the fish and the player character fishing from a boat. They also show a caught sea bass with its size and weight details displayed, emphasizing the realistic element of the game. It looks like they are aiming for a very authentic fishing experience. Sea Bass Fishing 2 significantly upgrades the original game with 4 key improvements. Enhanced 3D graphics provide realistic fish models, dynamic camera angles, and detailed environments. Refined controls offer a more realistic and responsive fishing experience, especially for rod action and reeling. The game now fully simulates natural elements like time of day, weather, and tides, impacting fishing strategy. Finally, the game expands beyond boat fishing, allowing shore fishing and introducing a variety of fish species beyond sea bass, like hirame. The developers aimed for realism, focusing on fish movement and reaction, while capturing the essence of sports fishing through shore fishing and a dynamic, engaging experience. Sea Bass Fishing 2 offers several game modes for anglers of all levels. Tournament mode challenges players to compete in sea bass fishing competitions, requiring skill to catch larger fish. Fishing lecture mode features expert Masami Murakoshi, providing instructional videos on lure fishing techniques. Cooking mode allows players to prepare dishes with their catch, offering recipes. Free fishing mode allows customization of location, weather, and tackle, with the ability to fish for various species. Finally, record mode allows players to review fishing logs, aiding in analyzing past strategies. The game emphasizes realism in fishing mechanics, environment, and fish behavior, promoting experimentation and an immersive experience. This page is packed with the latest SEGA Saturn game news, divided into new release titles and coming soon soft. In the new release titles section, we see a bunch of games that have just hit shelves or are very recent. Titles listed here include Mooncradle, Bulk Slash, Ancient City Illusion Story, Hayaku Monogatari, which sounds like an intriguing adventure, Kyan Kyan Bunny Extra, and Legend of K1 The Best Collection. There's also an SS Adventure Pack, possibly a collection of some kind, Photogenic, Tokyo Shadow, Shinkai Teitoku, Steel Iron Solitude, and Ryuteki 5000 Years. The main image looks like it might be related to one of these new releases, featuring a futuristic mech and a group of characters. Moving on to Coming Soon Soft, this section highlights upcoming titles to look forward to. Games mentioned here are Guilty Gear, the anticipated fighting game, Advanced World War, Millennium Empire no Kotori, which sounds like a grand strategy title, My Dream On Air Awaiting Ai, Tokimeki Memorial Selection, which is likely a collection from the popular dating sim series, Daitokai Jidai 2, possibly a sequel in a city-building or historical simulation genre, and Sangokushi Kongdenmai. It's a great overview of what's new and what's coming for Saturn fans. This page introduces a new release title called Moon Cradle, Bride of the Different Form. It's described as a Nighthead Inuma Kenji-produced psychic adventure game, so it seems to be based on or related to the popular Nighthead TV drama series, and is produced by Kenji Inuma. The game is presented as a psychic drama adventure, with gameplay designed to feel like you're watching a TV drama. It uses real-life video footage combined with CG graphics for its presentation. The game revolves around investigating strange incidents as a detective named Nemoto Kyosuke. The page highlights two game modes: Command Mode, used for outdoor investigations, and Action Mode for indoor investigations, like when you're in the protagonist's room. In Command Mode, you interact with characters and advance the story by choosing commands. In Action Mode, you explore environments from a top-down perspective, controlling your character with directional buttons and using commands to investigate your surroundings. The screenshots show in-game menus and dialogue choices in Japanese, giving a glimpse of how the gameplay might unfold. The reviewer seems to be emphasizing the cinematic, drama-like experience the game aims to deliver through its blend of real video and CG graphics. Hudson is releasing two games. Valkis Rush, a 3D action shooter, features transforming robots battling across 7 stages. Players strategically switch between robot and vehicle forms, with free movement in all directions. The game has 4 main characters: Klesdali, the pilot, Lilahart, a mysterious girl, and navigators Kohlensteiner and Rubia Rudo. Each stage pairs the player with a leveling-up heroine. The second game, Kodai Kuryujutsu Hyaku Monogatari, tentative title, is a horror digital novel based on the Japanese ghost story ritual Hyaku Monogatari. Players experience ghost stories in a ritual setting with 100 candles. The game aims to be super authentic and immersive, including controller vibration for a frightening experience. There will be an interview discussing real ghost stories as well. This page showcases a few exciting titles coming to Sega Saturn. First up is Kyan Kyan Bunny Extra, an adventure game sequel that's currently 5% complete. It seems to be continuing the story from previous games with new scenarios and fully voiced dialogue, even adding extra scenarios not found in the PC version. Next we have Legend of K1 Grand Prix 96, a fighting game that's already 100% complete. This one looks to be packed with content from the 96 K1 season, featuring highlight scenes and a database. We can even see Master Ishii featured in the screenshots. Lastly, there's the SS Adventure Pack, 7 Mansions and Mist, also marked as 100% complete. This is a 2-in-1 pack featuring 7 mansions, a horror adventure known for its scenario, and the classic adventure game, Myst, promising beautiful graphics for this Saturn port. Overall, the page highlights a diverse range of games for Saturn fans, from adventure to fighting and puzzle genres. 2 upcoming games are highlighted. Photogenic is a love simulation where players, as photographers, capture girls' beauty across a year, with gameplay influenced by photography skills and seasonal events. The game is 30% complete. Tokyo Shadow is an occult adventure set in Shibuya, where the protagonist, now a ghost, investigates historical mysteries and rescues a kidnapped lover, exploring real locations. The game, 90% complete, features actress Norika Fujiwara, 48 hidden stories, and multi-ending gameplay, emphasizing investigation and careful screen examination. Shin Kai-Tei Gunkan, a sci-fi strategy game, features turn-based battles on hex maps where players command superweapons, including the Quara battleship, against Atlantean forces across land, sea, and air. With 17 stages, it offers an orthodox, easy-to-learn gameplay style and unlocks original anime cutscenes. The game is inspired by the anime and manga of the same name. Ryuteki Gozen Nen Dragons of China is a near-future adventure game set in China. Players, as young scholars, investigate the legendary 8 dragons by gathering information and battling enemies. The story follows Ken and his companions as they travel China, with boss battles against dragons. It emphasizes character interaction, exploration, and puzzles centered around the evil dragon. This page is all about Sakura Wars for the Sega Saturn, and it's clearly hyping up the game. The page title is large and eye-catching, reading, "Let's make Saturn bloom with Sakura!" which is a playful way to say Sakura Wars will be a big hit on the system. The main illustration features Sakura Shinguji in her iconic outfit, looking dynamic and ready for action. Around her, we see portraits of other key characters from the game, including a girl in Chinese dress with glasses, a blonde-haired character, a red-haired character, and another brunette girl. The text emphasizes Sakura Wars as a dramatic adventure game that pioneered a new genre and became a massive hit. It mentions the game's high degree of completion and its rapid success within 6 months of release. The article seems to be aimed at anticipating the next installment in the series, highlighting the strong reader anticipation and mentioning they are covering a wide range of goods and interviews thanks to cooperation from the development team. Essentially, it's a promotional piece celebrating the success of Sakura Wars and building excitement for the future of the franchise on the Sega Saturn. This page showcases a Sakura Wars goods collection, highlighting merchandise related to the game beyond the core experience. A detailed goods list catalogs released items such as figures, novels, phone cards, and puzzles. A strategy videos section promotes a Sega strategy guide video featuring gameplay tips, anime scenes, and character introductions narrated by Chisa Yokoyama. Further, the page advertises music CDs released by BMG Japan, including the Imperial Song Collection Complete Works and Song Imperial Flower Troupe, which feature character songs and drama tracks. Finally, a setting materials section presents a Sakura Wars original picture and setting material collection book, packed with character and mecha designs, staff interviews, and costume designs, including cover art by Hidenori Matsubara, and a prize draw for the showcased clothing. This page highlights various merchandise from the Sakura Wars universe. Items include the Imperial Secret File, photo CD, containing CG artwork and setting materials, and 2 different clear files featuring game art. A detailed official guidebook caters to both simulation and adventure aspects. Collectible laminated cards with Flower Troop members and sought-after telephone cards are also advertised. Other offerings include a desk mat, a music box playing the game's theme with a photo stand function, and a postcard set featuring the Imperial Flower Troupe. The overall focus is on providing fans with diverse collectibles to expand their enjoyment of the Sakura Wars franchise. This page highlights rare Sakura Wars merchandise. Promo flyers, of 4-sized and used in stores, showcased game information. A collectible Unomi teacup was a store bonus. Key holders, also distributed at launch, displayed game art and the logo. A wooden photo stand with illustration cards was another bonus. Rare shop announcement posters and limited edition posters were also featured. A CD single with the ending theme, Blooming Maidens, and a coupling song, with jacket art by Hidenori Matsubara, was available. Flower Troop communication, a digital content on floppy disk, and Windows 95 screensavers, hinting at an upcoming columns puzzle game, were also showcased. This page looks like a cover for a magazine called Tinito Walker, which seems to be doing a big feature on Sakura Wars. The main headline talks about spring Sakura mini-trips and highlights 12 selections, suggesting travel spots related to the Sakura Wars world or theme. It mentions Sakura Saku Saku, playing on cherry blossoms blooming, and declares it a big special feature issue dedicated to the Imperial Opera Troupe. We see a box with an image of a military character, likely a vice commander, with text stating "Emergency Interview" and Sakura Wars 12 Mysteries, hinting at an in-depth look into the game's lore. The main image features Sakura Shinguji, a key character, and text around her mentions "Snow Falls Again" and 199x Sakura Blows, creating a dramatic, thematic atmosphere, possibly related to a specific storyline or event in Sakura Wars. There's also a section announcing long-awaited model change, latest Spirit Armor Reader, suggesting a focus on the Kubu, the iconic mecha in Sakura Wars, and potentially new designs or upgrades being revealed. Lastly, it advertises a super convenient for spring room searching, popular Imperial Capital Spot Guide 2, implying a guide to locations within the Sakura Wars setting, possibly for fans to visit or explore in-game. Overall, the page is heavily promoting Sakura Wars and its world, likely coinciding with a new release or update for the franchise. This page is all about exploring real-world locations in Tokyo that are featured in Sakura Wars as famous places in the Imperial capital. It's like a travel guide comparing the game's settings to actual spots in modern-day Tokyo. The article highlights locations like Hibiya Park, noting how elements like the National Diet Library and the outdoor concert hall are present in both the game and the real park. It also focuses on the Imperial Capital Tower, which is clearly based on Tokyo Tower, pointing out real-world attractions like aquariums and restaurants that are also reflected in the game's version. A map is included, marking several Tokyo locations and suggesting a kind of tour route for fans to visit these spots and get a feel for the Sakura Wars world in reality. They even link these locations to specific moments in the game's story, like mentioning the Rokubuse Demon Castle battle in Hibiya Park. Essentially, this page is encouraging fans to visit Tokyo and experience the real-life inspirations behind the Imperial Capital from Sakura Wars. This article explores real-world Tokyo locations that inspired the famous places in the Imperial Capital from Sakura Wars. It highlights Ginza, Nihonbashi, Fukagawa, and Tsukiji. Ginza's iconic Wako department store and clock tower are directly represented in the game. Nihonbashi contrasts the game's bridge with modern development. Fukagawa offers a unique Edo period atmosphere with warehouse-lined canals, mirroring the game's setting. Tsukiji, Tokyo's famous fish market, with its bustling atmosphere and historic Honganji Temple, served as inspiration, particularly for an episode in the game. The article uses photos comparing the real-world locations to game screenshots, encouraging fans to visit these places and experience the historical settings that inspired the Sakura Wars series. This page continues exploring real-world Tokyo locations that inspired settings in Sakura Wars, now focusing on Ueno, Kudanshita, and Asakusa Hanayashiki. The first location is Ueno, highlighting Ueno Park, Shinobazu Pond, and Kaneji Temple as deeply connected to Sakura Wars. It mentions that Ueno Park is where Sakura and Ogami first meet, emphasizing it as a place of destiny and romantic encounters, especially when cherry blossoms are in bloom. The article points out that key Sakura Wars scenes, including the very first battle in the prologue, took place in Ueno Park and around Shinobazu Pond. Moving to Kudanshita, the article describes it as a historically rich area with samurai residences and significant buildings, like the Kudanshita Kaikan. It notes that Kudanshita in the game captures the atmosphere of the Meiji and Taisho eras and was considered a sealed-off location, perfect for the historical setting of Sakura Wars. Finally, Asakusa Hanayashiki, Japan's oldest amusement park, is presented. The article suggests that Hanayashiki's modern yet slightly retro vibe perfectly matches the Taisho era aesthetic of Sakura Wars. It mentions the roller coaster and the unique costumes worn by the park staff, highlighting it as a must-visit spot for Sakura Wars fans to experience the atmosphere of the game in real life. Essentially, these locations offer a tangible connection to the world of Sakura Wars. This page continues the exploration of Tokyo locations that inspired Sakura Wars, this time focusing on Asakusa. The article begins with a focus on Asakusadera Temple, highlighting the Thunder Gate or Kaminarimon and Nakamisadori Street, leading to Sensoji Temple. It describes the area as a popular tourist destination known for its old temples and traditional atmosphere, and notes the connection to Sakura Wars by mentioning the Thunder Gate appears in the game. The article mentions the Nakamai Street with its traditional shops and lively atmosphere, suggesting it captures the feeling of the game's Taisho-era setting. It also points out the similarity between the real Nakamai Street and the in-game shopping streets. The article then moves to the Asakusa Rokes area, stating it's a popular spot known for theaters and entertainment, emphasizing its bustling atmosphere reminiscent of the Taisho era, and highlighting its relevance as a place where Iris and Ogami might have had dates in Sakura Wars. The text notes that, while the area has modern buildings like department stores and family restaurants now, traces of older buildings remain, preserving a sense of the past. It suggests that Asakusa Rocks in real life, like in the game, is a place filled with memories and discoveries for Sakura Wars fans. In this interview, Ayame from Sakura Wars answers fan questions about the Imperial Opera Troupe. The Flower Troupe members earn a comfortable salary, though the exact amount is undisclosed. The public knows the Imperial Assault Force name, but not its true purpose. The Black Demon Society's finances remain a mystery. Troupe members enjoy ordinary leisure activities during their time off, while Kasumi and Yuri manage the business side of the opera house. Kubu Mecha development costs are unknown but were significant. The Imperial Theater seats 750 and is always full. Kubu Mecha are estimated to be very expensive. While not formally ranked, the flower troops are viewed as soldiers by some. Ayame hints at future activities. The development staff also shares their experiences and expresses appreciation for the fans, hinting at more Sakura Wars content. This page showcases the Dream Access Reader Submission Corner, It's divided into sections where readers share their gaming experiences and other anecdotes. In the Games This Week section, a reader talks about finding a Sonic Team flyer and getting Christmas presents, likely game-related. The This Week's Good Fortune section features a story about someone enjoying arcade games and cosplaying as a character from Real Bout High School Legend, specifically mentioning Territory Guard. This Week's Bad Luck humorously describes someone struggling with SEGA Saturn games, using the analogy of a complicated SEGA Saturn turn-based washing plan to express their difficulties. There's a small box highlighting Fantasy Zone as part of the SEGA Ages series. Lastly, a reader asks about gaming terminology in the question mark box, using Fable Insect Chronicle as an example. The page also has a personality section with a cartoon illustration, which is likely a regular feature. This is a summary of reader submissions for a SEGA Saturn magazine. One reader from Hyogo Prefecture expresses excitement for Saturn Basic and its potential for game development, appreciating the system's graphics. Another from Tochigi Prefecture praises Daytona USA's soundtrack, mentions Eric Martin's involvement, and asks about Susumu Hirasawa's contribution to Wipeout XL. A Kanagawa Prefecture reader discusses 3D Gundam plastic models, highlighting the enjoyable experience of building them. Aomori Prefecture's Soma complains about poor sportsmanship in fighting games, particularly Virtua Fighter, recounting an incident that involved the police and advocating for better player behavior. Finally, the magazine features a cartoon based on Cyberbots and Fullmetal Madness. The Good Game Expansion Promotion Council recommends Wizardry Harmony, praising its accessibility, visuals, and story-driven character interactions. This page showcases a variety of reader inquiries and game news. Starting with the Industry Detective Agency section, a reader asks about the similarity between the Vampire Savior and Saturn logos, with Capcom developers responding. There's also a Dream Access Masquerade corner, featuring a cosplayer dressed as Sarah from Vampire Savior. The page then dives into a Dark Savior versus Vampire Savior comparison, where developers comment on the logo similarities and design aspects. The Young Master Now segment seeks information about a character named Wakadanna, possibly from Fighters Megamix, and recounts a strange penguin encounter at an aquarium. In the Bachadayo All Members Assemble corner, focusing on Virtua Jerry, the topic is love simulation games, highlighting the popularity of Love and Adventure SLG, and characters like Virtual Charm Girl Jerry and Unicharm Val. The release bulletin King of Fighters section announces King of Fighters 97 and introduces Chizuru Kagura. It also mentions other games in development, like Chunsoft's Saturn Game Series Entry No. 2, which is a dance mix game, and titles like Kids Space, Fighter and Voyager, Didem's Space, and Moonwalker 2. There's a Comic DA section with a manga panel, seemingly related to fighting games. Finally, reader submissions include tales of penguin encounters from Tokyo, Kanagawa, Niigata, and a vending machine-related story from Yamaguchi Prefecture. This page is showcasing readers' best submissions and fan art in the Dream Museum section. In the top This Week's Best section, a reader from Tokyo is really into Vampire Hunter, mentioning it's part of the popular Vampire Savior series. Another submission from Akichi Prefecture features Neo Submarine Warfare, with the reader liking the detailed 3D graphics. Moving to the Dream Museum, there's fan art for Puyo Puyo Sun from Gunma Prefecture, with the reviewer noting the change in art style and mentioning it's a puzzle game with a summer theme. Another submission from Niigata Prefecture is for Grandia, with anticipation for the game and praise for its impressive graphics. There is also a submission for Water Margin, mentioning the cool character designs and enjoyable gameplay. Another submission features VF3, referencing the realistic feel and hoping for more color in future submissions. Finally, submissions include K1 Grand Prix and Dezemon Deza 2. The Gasuketsu Award Special is giving out prizes for creative submissions, especially for Dezemon 2, encouraging readers to send in interesting and unique designs. The Program Information section provides guidelines for reader submissions, including how to send in illustrations and text, emphasizing the use of postcards or paper, black ink, and including names and character names. This page advertises several 4-Koma manga anthologies. The 4-Koma DX series includes Pocket Monster 4-Koma DX Deluxe, Pokemon, the industry's top 4-Koma, and Nitu Shinden 4-Koma DX Deluxe, To Shinden, a comedic take on the PlayStation fighting game. The Super Game Anthology comic series features more titles.
2 Shinden Anthology Comic and 2 Shinden 2 Anthology Comic are based on the 2 Shinden fighting games. Also included are Guketsuji Ichizoku 2, Charodake Saikyu Densetsu Anthology Comic, Power Instinct 2, and Vampire Hunter Darkstalker's Revenge Anthology Comic, Darkstalker's Revenge, both based on popular fighting games. These anthologies offer 4 Koma manga and illustrations from various artists, all inspired by well-known video games. This page spotlights SEGA Saturn merchandise, primarily focusing on Martian successor Nadesico. Highlights include a 1/8 scale Eureka figure, art crystals, and Cardass Masters. A variety of Nadesico jigsaw puzzles are showcased, ranging from 108 to 1,000 pieces, featuring characters and themed scenes. Mono-san, from Sega's character department, is the point of contact for merchandise inquiries. The page also promotes Sega's informational services, Sega Fax Club for audio news via fax, and Sega JoyJoy Telephone for weekly phone updates. They also advertise Sega Video Magazine, available in stores, and the purchasable Flash Sega Saturn Video Magazine, specifically mentioning Volume 14 with game previews like Puzzle Bobble 3 and Neon Genesis Evangelion Second Impression. Finally, the availability of demo CD-ROMs at stores is noted. This page is titled Mana Moan by Tomoko Sasaki, who introduces herself as a sound creator for CS development at Sega. She mentions being known for Nights, likely Nights into Dreams. Her column shares personal anecdotes and thoughts in a humorous manga style. She includes small comics, touching on topics like a quiz about herself, her experience working on Night's sound, and some jokes about game-related scenarios like getting frustrated with games and using save states. There are also panels illustrating game concepts or funny situations gamers can relate to, such as wanting to play games in the bath or getting stressed playing shooting games. Below, the Sega Public Relations Daily News section features articles from various Sega staff members. Takezaki talks about striving for self-improvement and mentions being involved in reverse full-count home run or reverse rotation until the end. Fukuzawa discusses allergies and office snacks and mentions enjoying cooking. Honey Hanekage talks about stiff shoulders from prolonged gaming and enjoying game demos before release, and highlights the Evangelion Second Impression game and its characters like Shinji and Asuka, suggesting new characters might appear. Finally, there is a Postcard Big Recruitment section, encouraging readers to send in postcards with opinions, questions, illustrations, and other submissions to SEGA Saturn Magazine. They are giving away presents to those whose postcards are selected, including SEGA Saturn goods. They mention Evangelion's Second Impression photos and posters as prizes for 5 winners, tying back to the game mentioned in Honey Hanekage's article. This page highlights a book called Otaku Amigos, which is described as a collection of heated discussions from 3 self-proclaimed otaku personalities. The book aims to shed new light on tondemo, outrageous or absurd, works while maintaining a fun and recycled spirit and discussing paradigm shifts. It encourages readers to become amigos of otaku culture. There's also a section called Omake Lavish Guests, listing contributors to the book, including manga artists like Ito Shinpei, Soruban KZ, and Takeguma Kentaro, illustrators like Kaida Yuji, rakugo performer Tatekawa Shijinosuke, manga artist Terashima Reiji, film director Nakano Tadahiro, and SF Writer Society president Yamamoto Hiroshi. The book is listed as B6 size, 176 pages, and priced at 1,339 yen. Below are adverts for 2 other books. First, Dungeon Pilgrimage by Sakata Etsuko, a collection of columns originally serialized in Super 64 magazine. It features comics and is described as an enjoyable read, marking the first column collection from a manga artist at Game Freak. It's B6 size, 192 pages, and priced at 1,000 yen. The second book is Game Machine is Daisy Daisy's Song by Komano Mayumi, a book version of popular Super Famicom, Super Nintendo columns. Written by a novelist known for works set in Tokyo's red light district and 12 countries, it features illustrations by Mizutama Keinosuke and explores games from both Eastern and Western perspectives. This one is B6 size, 240 pages, and also priced at 1,000 yen. This page is all about Warp, the game developer, and specifically why Ino Kenji, presumably the head of Warp,
is having trouble writing the Workita manuscript. It seems like a humorous investigation into the reasons behind this delay, framed as an emergency topic. The page lists several possible reasons for Aino's manuscript woes, presented as main reasons: a company trip, media coverage, something called visible radio, and even moving offices. There are pictures illustrating each of these points. There's an interview section with Tatsuki Shozaburo from Warp's CG development team. He talks about the challenges Warp faces, suggesting their work is time-consuming, particularly with CG, and mentions the game Real Sound. He humorously asks for understanding from readers, hinting that things are a bit chaotic at Warp. The article dives deeper into why Eno can't write, mentioning Real Sound again, and suggesting a very busy schedule is to blame. A small section titled Warp Person in Charge's Mutterings implies internal struggles or frustrations. The magazine is clearly waiting for this manuscript, and even provides contact details at the end. Overall, it's a lighthearted piece focusing on Warp, the development team, and the supposed reasons for Eno Kenji's writer's block, with Real Sound, Kaze no Regret, appearing to be a key project at the time contributing to the workload. This page is a SEGA Saturn software databank, a collection of game reviews and ratings from the magazine, covering releases between November 1994 and March 1997. It seems to be a guide for players to decide which games to buy. The page lists games with their release dates, Japanese titles, makers mostly SEGA, prices, genres, and both reader and reviewer scores out of 10. Looking through the games, there's a real mix of genres and titles. You see launch titles like Virtua Fighter getting high scores, as expected. Games like Myst, Wanchai Connection, and Tama are also listed from the early days. As you go down, you see a range of games released month by month, from action and adventure to puzzle and strategy titles. There are notes about compatible peripherals, like the mouse or control pads, and player numbers. Games like Daytona USA, Virtua Cop, and Panzer Dragoon are featured, showing the breadth of Saturn's early library. This page is essentially a snapshot of the SEGA Saturn game landscape at the time, giving players a quick reference to game quality based on reader opinions and expert reviews. This page continues the SEGA Saturn game databank, listing more games with release dates, makers, genres, prices, and importantly, reader and reviewer scores. It seems to cover mostly games released around late 95 and into 96. We are seeing a wide range of genres here, from shooting and action to puzzle and strategy titles. Looking through the list, there are some interesting titles here, like Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei, which is highly rated, as expected. Virtua Fighter 2 also scores very well, reinforcing its status as a must-have fighting game. We also see games like Street Fighter Zero, Virtua Cop 2, and FIFA Soccer 96, which were all key titles for the Saturn. It's interesting to see the reader and reviewer scores side by side, offering a balanced view of each game's reception at the time. There's also mention of peripherals, like the multiplayer adapter for some games, and even light guns. This page really provides a snapshot of the quality and variety of games available on the SEGA Saturn during this period, acting as a useful guide for players back then. This page continues the game data listing, showcasing more SEGA Saturn titles with their release dates, developers, genres, prices, and both reader and critic review scores. We're still looking at titles mainly from the mid-90s. Among the games featured, we see a variety of genres. There are shooting games like Radiant Silvergun, and shooters like Assault Suit Lanos 2. For action fans, titles like Deep Fear and Guardian Heroes are listed. Puzzle games are represented with Puyo Puyo Sunracing fans, have SEGA Rally Championship and Daytona USA Circuit Edition to consider. Role-playing games include the classic Lunar Silver Star story. It's interesting to see the reader and critic scores together, offering a perspective on how these games were received by both the public and professional reviewers at the time. The page also notes compatible peripherals for some games, such as the mouse or extra RAM, indicating some of the technical features of these titles. Overall, this page provides another snapshot of the diverse and interesting games available on the SEGA Saturn during this period, acting like a historical game catalog. This page continues the SEGA Saturn game info coming, still showcasing a diverse set of titles. Action games are strong here, with entries like Iron Man XO and the survival horror Deep Fear. For racers, we have SEGA Rally Championship. Beat-em-up fans will be pleased to see Guardian Heroes listed too. It's really interesting to see both reader and critic review scores together, giving you a good idea of public and professional opinions back then. They also note things like RAM requirements, mouse compatibility, and multiplayer features for some games, showing the tech details that mattered. This page provides another great snapshot of the Sega Saturn's varied and interesting game library from this period. This page is a databank index, essentially a game index, listing a huge number of Sega Saturn titles. It's organized in Japanese alphabetical order, starting from A sounds and moving through. You can see a massive variety of games here, covering all sorts of genres. For example, there's action titles like Iron Man/XO, which was mentioned previously, alongside racing games and fighting games like Street Fighter and Sega Rally Championship. You can also see titles that hint at adventure, RPGs, and even puzzle games. It's really just a massive list to help you quickly find information on any game covered in this magazine by looking up the title and its corresponding index number. This page is really about quickly navigating the magazine's content rather than deep dives into any specific game. This page continues the databank index, listing even more Sega Saturn games in alphabetical order. It's still a dense list of titles and their corresponding index numbers. You can see a massive variety of games are still being listed. Everything from fighting games like Fighters Megamix and Fighting Illusion, A1 Grand Prix, to racing games and puzzle games. There are titles like Lunar Silver Star Story and Legend of K1 Best Collection, demonstrating the range of genres covered. It seems like a very extensive list, designed to help readers quickly find info on any game within the magazine. Again, it's more about navigation than in-depth game information, offering a quick reference to the magazine's content. This guide instructs readers on how to complete a survey postcard. Instructions include using a black ballpoint pen, writing numbers in Arabic numerals, and separating the postcard neatly. The top right provides examples of answering multiple-choice questions and using leading zeros.
The survey covers various topics.
Questions 1 to 4 collect demographic data, gender, age, occupation, and number of Sega Saturn software titles owned. Questions 5 to 9 gauge opinions on magazine readership, cover design, price, and interesting, uninteresting articles, referencing Table 1. Questions 10 to 12 concern hardware and software ownership and future purchases, referencing Table 2, hardware, and Table 3, software. This page is all about the upcoming Sega Saturn game, Avo Vadis Quo Vadis 2, an SF simulation RPG from Glams, set to launch on April 4th. The page is packed with excitement, declaring development is almost finished and the battle is starting soon. It highlights the assault armor mechs as central to the gameplay, promising intense battles. The game has reached 100% completion, and the developers are thrilled with how it's turned out, especially praising the improved visuals and game balance. They're eager for players to experience it. Screenshots show a strategic map with units moving through forests and roads, typical of simulation RPGs. You can also see character portraits and in-game interface elements displaying commands like movement, weapons, and designate. The game features characters like Grams and Kiyowaki Shinobi, and it seems the story involves a unit called Red Hawk and new GOA assault armors. It sounds like they're really pushing the strategic and story aspects of Quo Vadis 2. This page is really getting into the action of Avo Vadis Quo Vadis 2, focusing on a dramatic night battle scenario. It's all about a mysterious mech called Shadow that's got the 8-planet allied forces completely shaken. The scene is set during a night attack, where the G.O.A assault armors are deployed for the first time. We're seeing things unfold through the eyes of Sid, a base defense team member who's reporting on the unfolding chaos as they're assaulted by this unknown enemy. The dialogue highlights the confusion and fear surrounding Shadow, suggesting it's a powerful and unexpected threat. It also mentions the Red Scarab unit as a key part of the assault armor forces. There are screenshots showing the gameplay, with strategic combat elements and character conversations.
We also get introduced to the Red Scarab unit's main assault armors.
First up is the standard main assault armor. Then the AF-94 Felon, which is built for melee combat and infiltration. Lastly, there's the A-12 MAM-5 Mortal, a versatile medium-type unit designed for all sorts of missions. The Felon is emphasized for its close-range fighting and infiltration skills, while the Mortal is praised for its balanced performance and ability to handle various situations. It definitely seems like this Shadow is going to be a major problem in the game.
This page continues the breakdown of the mechs in Avo Vadis Quo Vadis 2,
focusing on the GO.A Army's cutting-edge assault armor, the GX, identified as SN 965,445, a mass-production prototype. This is essentially the mysterious shadow mech we heard about causing chaos for the 8-planet Allied forces. The article highlights that the GX is a new generation assault armor utilizing an impulse reactor for power, drastically improving performance compared to standard models, and also boasting stealth capabilities thanks to an optical jammer, which reinforces its feared shadow reputation. A spec section gives us the unit's vital statistics like height and weight. Below, we get a closer look at other assault armor types within the G.O.A forces. First up is the A3H3 Hobo, described as a heavy fire support unit, built for laying down intense firepower and defense. Then there's the A52 Sniper, designed for reconnaissance and long-range precision attacks. Finally, we have the Scorpio Alpha, callsign Antares, which serves as a command and transport unit. Each of these units gets a brief description of its role and purpose, accompanied by screenshots of them in action within the game.
This page showcases Advanced World War, Last of the Millennium, a game focusing on German military power and aiming to build a 1,000-year Reich. The game, set during a time of conflict led by Adolf Hitler, challenges players to lead Germany to victory. The page highlights the game's deep mechanics, revealing a weapons purchase system that's fully detailed. It emphasizes the development of stronger tanks and superior aircraft, showing in-game screens related to vehicle stats and upgrades. The article explains how players can customize vehicles extensively, using a single chassis to create different types of tanks and armored vehicles. For example, it's mentioned how a Panzer IV chassis can be upgraded to different variants, culminating in a powerful Panzer IV H-type. We can see in-game combat screenshots and interface elements showing resource management and unit production. The text promotes the game as an immersive historical war game, suitable for both experienced strategy players and newcomers to the genre. The page mentions the game is due for release on March 20th, priced at 6,800 yen. The developers express their hope that players who were not satisfied with previous strategy games will enjoy this 20th century historical war game. They're currently in the final stages of development and working on new ideas to make it engaging for everyone, from beginners to veterans. The strategy game's campaign mode features 64 maps. 4 scenarios are highlighted. Scenario 11, Mediterranean Ruler, is a naval battle where you command the Italian fleet against the British. Expect air attacks from the Ark Royal. Scenario 15, Tobruk, features the North African campaign. Command German and Italian forces against the British Commonwealth, emphasizing tank combat. Scenario 13, El Alamein, also in North Africa, challenges resource management as the Germans. Supply lines and unit efficiency are key against the British. Scenario 43, Stalingrad City Battle, moves to the Eastern Front. Your goal is to rescue the German 6th Army in a race against time, utilizing German and Allied forces against Soviet defenses. This page is all about the 10th map in standard mode, scenario number 13, called Lost Victory. It's a scenario focused on large-scale tank battles, set during a major WW2 conflict reminiscent of the Battle of Kursk. You'll be playing as the German forces, commanding formidable tanks like Panthers and Tigers. And the challenge is to overcome the numerically superior Soviet armies by sheer force and tactical deployment. The page shows in-game screenshots of unit stats and the battlefield map. It also lists the unit compositions for both sides, detailing the German forces across southern, central, and Voronezh army groups, and the Soviet forces in central and steppe fronts. Finally, it references the historical Operation Citadel, a massive tank offensive, showcasing Soviet tanks like the T-34, Su-122, and Su-152, really emphasizing the game's focus on intense armored warfare. This page delves into the grand strategy game Iron Storm, originally Thousand Year Empire, highlighting its appeal. The article points out that the game boasts a massive 64 maps, a significant amount for a strategy title, and particularly emphasizes the inclusion of naval battles in the European theater, a feature often overlooked in war simulations until now. It notes that players can finally enjoy strategic naval engagements with the German fleet. The page also showcases in-game character portraits, including a military figure named SS MAGA,
and mentions the concept of awarding medals to high-ranking generals as a motivational element. Moving on to the game's scenarios, the feature details several key battlefields players can experience. These include the Battle of Britain, focusing on the air war between England and Germany, the Western and Mediterranean sea lines covering the war in France and the Mediterranean, the Eastern or Russian front battles involving Poland and the Soviet Union, and lastly, the North African campaign. Each scenario description briefly outlines the historical context and gameplay focus for each front, like the importance of sea lanes in the Mediterranean and the intense land battles on the Eastern Front. The page also includes screenshots showing gameplay interfaces, unit stats, and battle scenes from the Battle of Britain scenario, providing a visual glimpse into the game. The next page shines a spotlight on Graduation S, proclaiming it as the ultimate complete edition of the Graduation series. This is a character development simulation game, a genre quite popular on the market, with many iterations from various companies. The article highlights Graduation as a particularly strong and enduring title within this genre, attributing its appeal to its high overall degree of completion in terms of system and character design. It mentions that Graduation has seen numerous iterations, each time aiming to surpass the previous as the definitive transfer decision version, and now Graduation S is making its debut on the Saturn. A key selling point is the first-time purchase bonus, which includes a school badge and student handbook. These are described as realistic replicas of the Kyosato Gakuen school items featured in the game, emphasizing the attention to detail even in these extras. The badge is even described in detail, noting its sturdy construction and secure pin. The page also touches upon the history of the Graduation series, stating the original PC version launched in '92, and since then, various companies have ported and released versions across different platforms. It emphasizes the series' popularity and numerous iterations, presenting Graduation S as the culmination of these efforts. Finally, it lists different versions of Graduation released for various platforms, including PC 9801, PC Engine, FM Towns, and Macintosh, highlighting that Graduation S on the Saturn is positioned as the most complete and definitive version. Graduation S is an education simulation where you play a teacher guiding Class 3B to graduation. The game emphasizes teacher responsibility, with student futures shaped by your actions. Gameplay involves managing weekday school activities, like lessons and club guidance, along with weekend home visits to observe students. Your stats affect student development. The game features events like festivals and exams that influence student parameters. Student emotions are crucial. Your choices impact their behavior and require sensitive guidance. Different versions exist, with Graduation S on Saturn presented as the definitive edition with enhanced graphics, sound, and balance. The franchise also includes a sequel, Graduation R for schools, and side stories expanding the game world. This page talks about the upcoming SEGA Saturn version of Graduation S, highlighting the enhanced audio elements exclusive to this version. It emphasizes that the Saturn version will feature newly added voice recordings and sounds that weren't in previous versions. You can see screenshots illustrating these improvements, showing in-game conversations during eye-catching events and character reactions during exam times, ranging from good to bad results. The article really focuses on the dedication to sound, especially the voice acting. They've brought back all 5 original voice actors to re-record all the voices for the Saturn release, aiming for a definitive experience. They even point out the nuanced differences between the PC Engine and Saturn versions regarding voice and sound, showcasing the developer's attention to detail. You can see photos of the 5 voice actresses alongside their respective characters: Hiromi Tsuru as Sei Madoka, Yumiko Tuma as Takagi Raiko, Yuko Ogai as Natsumi Kato, Aya Hisakawa as Shizuka Nakajima, and Mayumi Kakinuma as Kaori Sena. Finally, they touch upon the sheer volume of the script for the Saturn version, hinting at how much content has been added and improved for this release, making it a substantial upgrade. This page introduces My Dream on Air ga Mat Nakute, which is described as a dream and hope voice actor story game coming soon for the SEGA Saturn. It looks like a simulation game where you're managing the schedule of aspiring voice actresses. The page highlights key gameplay elements. Firstly, you decide the weekly actions for your voice actress, setting a schedule with various training options like vocal practice and other activities to improve her parameters. These parameters, such as stamina, vocalization, insight, and sensitivity, are tracked and influence her progress. Secondly, going into town allows you to randomly encounter the 8 different girls in the game, which seems to be a key part of building relationships and progressing the story. Event scenes are triggered based on dates and locations, and your choices in these scenes impact the girl's favorability towards you. Making wrong choices could even lead to a game over, so careful consideration is needed. Finally, on Sundays, you can have consultations with the girls by listening to their worries and offering advice based on information you've gathered. You can increase their favorability and reduce their stress. It also seems you can teach them information which improves their abilities. One of the screenshots shows a girl singing at Strawberry Farm Karaoke, hinting at some minigame or activity. Overall, it paints a picture of a character-driven simulation game focused on raising voice actresses, building relationships, and navigating event scenarios. This page is all about the Tokimeki Memorial Selection Shiori Fujisaki game. It's a special release focused on the popular character Shiori Fujisaki from Tokimeki Memorial. The page highlights a couple of interesting features. First up is the Portrait Collection, which lets you view Shiori in various outfits and poses, something you couldn't normally see in the main game's dialogue scenes. They boast 22 different costumes and poses to check out. Then there's the Voice Collection, which allows you to replay all the voice lines Shiori recorded for the game. It mentions there are a whopping 80 voice clips and about 500 pages of text associated with them, so there's plenty of listening material. Below, there are also sections advertising Teach Me Mr. Sky and Let's Go With the Wind, which are described as debut single music clips. It seems like this selection is really aiming to be a treat for Shiori fans, packed with extra content. The bottom part of the page gives release info, saying it came out March 27th and costs 2,800 yen. It's a one-player game for all ages, and the maker's comment suggests that if you're a Shiori fan and like her shy demeanor, you'll really enjoy this and feel your heart pound. It also seems to be inviting players into the Shiori world. This page continues to showcase the Tokimeki Memorial Selection Shiori Fujisaki, and dives into what they're calling date special content. It seems to feature date scenarios across the 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Each season has a little scene with Shiori and some dialogue snippets hinting at different date themes throughout the year. Below the seasonal dates, it looks like they're teasing things I'm curious about, with images showing Shiori in various situations: in a recording studio, in the city, at sunset, and by the beach. This section seems to be highlighting the variety of date locations and experiences you can have with Shiori. Then there's a spotlight on a minigame called Achi Muite, HOI, which is like a look the other way game. You can play this against Shiori, and it seems winning unlocks bonus graphics. They mention it's a best of 3 match format, with voice acting during the rock, paper, scissors phase, and full voice lines. The game interface screenshot shows player scores and options like start, help, and exit. Lastly, the text on the right side emphasizes the enhanced graphics in this selection, noting that Shiori's character graphics are much larger and of higher resolution than before. It seems like they are really pushing the visual upgrades and aiming for a more detailed and appealing experience for fans, saying it fulfills the image fans have of her. This guide focuses on Uncharted Waters 2, New Horizons, and provides essential navigation tips. It covers ship selection, emphasizing the importance of choosing ships based on their strengths in maneuverability and durability. Players can purchase and upgrade ships at ports. The guide highlights ship capabilities, maneuverability, durability, and the crucial role of crew members, including their individual skills and responsibilities. It explains the navigator's skills, such as observation and accounting, which are important for exploration and trading. The key focus is on resource management, particularly water and crew health. Players must manage supplies to avoid crew illness and death. The guide also covers cargo, resupply methods, ports, transfers, exploration, and briefly touches upon combat and exploration mechanics. This page focuses on Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Kongming's biography, asking if Zhu Liang can unify the Central Plains. It dives into Liu Bei's next objective, which is to seize Yizhu, outlining the strategy of entering Shu with Xiang Song's guidance and emphasizing the need to conquer fertile lands like Yizhu to build national power. The game highlights strategic elements, showing how Zhu Liang uses clever tactics to take Yizhu. A unique aspect showcased is the introduction of beast tamer units, described as rare and unusual, riding tigers and other beasts instead of horses, adding a unique tactical layer to battles. The game emphasizes the crucial choices players must make as Kong Ming, where every decision can mean life or death. Kong Ming's survival is paramount, influencing the game's progression and difficulty. The page also provides release details, mentioning it's a simulation RPG by Koei, scheduled for release on March 28 at 7,800 yen. The developer's message points out the game's focus on player choice as Kong Ming, highlighting the engaging story and strategic depth for both Kong Ming fans and general romance of the Three Kingdoms enthusiasts. This page is all about Samurai Spirit's Bushido Retsuden, an RPG in the popular fighting game series Samurai Shodown. It's described as an RPG, which translates to Bushido Retsuden. The page is highlighting two scenarios in the game, Sokuten Korin no Shu and Yoka Hoten no Shu, introducing original characters who appear as mid-bosses in these scenarios and are exclusive to the home console version, not seen in the arcade fighting games. The game seems to feature exploration and battles, with screenshots showing in-game environments and combat situations with character stats displayed. There's a mention of a special move called Okugi Sakuretsu, or Secret Technique Explosion. The text suggests that in the Sokuten Korin no Sho scenario, you'll encounter a Sanbokai Doshi character, described as a powerful man who appears as a mid-boss and wields a large weapon. It also mentions the Fuji Evil Cult Mansion as a location within the game. Overall, the page is promoting this RPG version of Samurai Shodown, emphasizing its unique storyline and characters compared to the fighting game versions.
This page continues the focus on Samurai Spirit's Bushido Retsuden, which is known internationally as Samurai Shodown RPG. It dives into a crucial event in the game called Gyakusa Edo-ju, or Reverse Edo Castle. The game is taking players to Edo Castle, but something's off as it's described as reversed. You'll be exploring underground areas and discover this mysterious Reverse Edo Castle. The page highlights a key battle encounter, announcing Battle Onslaught. It seems you'll be facing a formidable female demon boss in the deepest part of this Reverse Edo Castle. The text even playfully notes she might be scary, but also cute. There are two prominent characters featured, a stylish white-haired female figure, and a monstrous red demon named Agao. Agu is described as a powerful enemy, possibly a mid-boss, guarding a demonic barrier within the castle. The page even showcases his special move, the 88-leaf gale attack, which sounds devastating. It also mentions the hero Jubi, or Yagyu Jubei, suggesting he'll be involved in this challenging scenario and battle against Agao. It looks like this Reverse Edo Castle event is a significant turning point in the game's story, packed with tough enemies and dramatic encounters. This page delves into Dragon Master Silk, specifically Area 2, known as Evil Cemetery. It seems level B4F is giving our character some trouble. The text hints at Asayo struggling in this area, suggesting there might be something specific in this spooky dungeon that she's not good at. There's a section explaining the profile system, which allows players to check character information and stats that change based on gameplay decisions and actions. It acts as a mini window to track your progress and how your choices influence the characters. The page also highlights important points for conquering the Demon King's castle, focusing on returning to town to shop. It mentions that towns and dungeons act as bases and sell various useful items. It emphasizes the importance of going back to town to buy new equipment and restock items after clearing floors. Different types of shops are briefly mentioned, including item shops for purchasing goods, taverns for rest and information, and warehouses for item storage. This page continues with Dragon Master Silk and moves on to B5F of the dungeon, which is described as a big pinch for AKA and Kit. It seems they are trapped by a large spider-like monster, and Atio is struggling too, possibly due to the gothic horror atmosphere of this level. The game hints that using silks is key to escaping this situation. The maze is confusing, and messages within the game are not making things clearer, adding to the disorientation. Asu is captured and tied up, and again, silks are suggested as the escape route. Akasho is not proving to be very useful in this maze, and the player might need to compensate for her lack of help, perhaps by being extra resourceful. There's talk of a treasure vault located in the center of the pyramid. Entering it triggers a surprise encounter with enemies, but it hints that something good might come from it. The page also mentions some unusual but helpful items found, Kanpan and Kanoke, which are apparently very useful. Moving on to B6F. Inside the pyramid,
The goal is to rescue companions and proceed to the witch's hall. Silk's fast attacks are highlighted as effective, especially against double vampire monsters, who are described as rather strange enemies. The page ends on a cliffhanger, teasing what happened to Amao and questioning the true power of Silk, with a "to be continued" message. This page showcases the game Magical Hoppers. It highlights that the controls are simple, using the directional keys and a jump button, but the action is varied and deep. The game uses polygonal graphics for the backgrounds, where you run around and enjoy diverse actions. The basic gameplay loop involves reaching the goal from the start point, a simple stage-clear structure, but it also mentions that there are bosses to defeat. The page then asks, which of the two characters will you choose? It introduces two playable characters, Graham and Guppy. Graham is described as having a special attack, using the B button, allowing him to defeat enemies by jumping and stomping on them. Guppy, on the other hand, can't directly attack enemies, but his jump power is stronger, allowing for a double jump. Guppy is described as being able to reach places Graham can't reach and is simpler to play, particularly for beginners. The review section at the top right, marked 100% completion rate, includes comments from the developer saying it's a pure action game in a time where such games are becoming rare. They emphasize the simple controls, exhilarating movement, and satisfying gameplay, even after repeated plays. They also jokingly say, "If you die, it's your fault," highlighting the demanding but fair gameplay. Magical Hoppers features two heroes, Graham and Guppy, with character selection available not just at the start, but also between stages. Players utilize a password system to resume progress. Stage 1, Skeleton Fortress, presents a platforming challenge with ground enemies and environmental hazards. Jumping is crucial, especially on moving platforms. Falling results in a lost life. Clearing the stage involves reaching the endgate. The game includes magic items that serve as sub-weapons, allowing strategic offense even for non-attacking characters like Guppy. These items have limited uses and are consumed upon damage.
For Stage 1, Guppy is recommended due to his double jump.
Collecting coins is vital, with 300 coins awarding an extra life. Aiming for 80% coin collection unlocks bonus stages. Players should thoroughly explore for hidden coins. This page is all about Pacific Storm 2, a game focused on realistically recreating naval battles. The article highlights the game's attention to detail and historical accuracy, emphasizing that it's a port from PC to SEGA Saturn with added historical movie footage. The main hook is the question of how Japan, a resource-poor nation, can win the war, setting the stage for the strategic challenges players will face. There's a section detailing scenario selection, with titles like Grand Campaign and Short Scenario, promising a good variety of gameplay. It also shows a list of the initial organization of the Japanese fleet, detailing different fleets like the Southern Seas Fleet and the Main Force Fleet, and even a development version section hinting at submarine fleets planned for the final game. Finally, there's a showcase of key Japanese naval aircraft from the start of the Pacific War, including the famous Zero Fighter and other attack aircraft, each with stats like attack power and production cost. The game is still in development at 80% completion, according to a review box, with the developers apologizing for a delay and asking players to wait a little longer for release. This page continues with information on Pacific Storm 2, Pacific Front, a realistic naval combat simulation game. It delves into early game strategies for players taking on the role of the Japanese fleet. The article emphasizes the importance of fleet reorganization as the first task, highlighting the 6 aircraft carrier fleets near Hawaii and the presence of submarine and escort fleets. It points out the strategic importance of capturing the Philippines and Hong Kong early on to secure vital supply lines between Indochina, Japan, and other areas. The page then gives gameplay advice focusing on 3 key principles for victory, emphasizing attacking enemy bases in the south early, highlighting that while resource-rich areas are important, capturing the Philippines is crucial. It stresses the importance of aircraft in naval battles, suggesting that players should always consider aircraft range and capabilities when planning attacks, warning that relying on short-range aircraft for long-distance missions is risky. Finally, the article discusses how to organize transport fleets for each base. It explains the production and supply chain within the game, from raw materials to factories, and the role of transport fleets in delivering resources and supplies, making them vital to Japan's war effort. It advises players to understand and manage these supply lines effectively to maintain their combat capabilities. Screenshots of ship stats and battle maps are shown throughout the page to illustrate the points being made. This page showcases The Conveni, a convenience store management simulation game. It emphasizes the deep gameplay, where you, as the owner of a convenience store chain, manage and expand your business to dominate the local market. The page highlights key aspects of the game, starting with location selection being crucial for success. It mentions considering factors like initial funds, building costs, customer demographics, and rival stores when choosing a spot. The article then discusses store layout customization, explaining that players can freely arrange store fixtures like shelves and refrigerators, and decide what products to stock from a wide variety of options including prepared meals, bento boxes, and magazines. It points out that stocking real-world convenience store items is part of the game's appeal, but game software is not sold in your store. Amusingly, the page suggests optimizing store layout and product placement to boost sales and satisfy customers. There is a small review box praising the game's conversion from the PC version to the Saturn, mentioning that while slightly different, it retains the core gameplay and features a navigator character. The reviewer humorously suggests Saturn users are lucky to have it. Overall, the page gives a good overview of The Conveni, focusing on its strategic depth, in-store management, and location selection, appealing to players who enjoy simulation games. After choosing a location in The Conveni, the next steps involve managing your store. Hiring staff requires assessing their stats, strength, intelligence, sociability, for optimal performance. Opening day initiates standard hours, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Focus on advertising, direct mail, to build image, and market strategically by analyzing the local area and customer needs. Monitor competitors, and consider buying them out. Attract new buildings to expand your customer base. Pay attention to customer feedback, and manage staff effectively. Aim for a 5-star reputation, which attracts special visitors, including idols. Be prepared for unexpected events, like festivals, shoplifting, and fires. Once profitable, expand by opening branch stores. Jissen Pachinko Hishu How Twin is a SEGA Saturn pachinko simulation game developed by Sammy Industry, targeted at single players of all ages. Releasing March 28 for 5,800 yen, the game builds on Sammy's history of pachinko titles. It features full-spec crossing machines, replicating mainstream machines with variable probability and continuous performance, including CR Kudamono no Hanu and CR Gaga Gaokiz 4. The game highlights the thrill of reach sequences, detailing standard patterns, and the increased anticipation associated with musical changes. Additional features emphasize exciting gameplay elements such as drum action and Roaring Dragon full rotation reach. The game also includes practical information, such as 1,000 yen worth of essential borderlines.
Tables, providing exchange rates and expected rotations based on parlor type, crucial for strategic play.
Jissen Pachinko Hishu How Twin features a real battle simulation mode, immersing players in a realistic pachinko experience. Players begin by registering and creating their own virtual parlor, customizing its characteristics like location and operating hours, though not individual machine settings. The game offers various parlor styles, including Gaga, Gaokiz 4. Next, players schedule visits to their chosen parlor, simulating the experience from arrival to play, starting with a 30,000 yen investment. Gameplay involves using a card to purchase balls, operating the machine with the R button, and controlling shot strength with the D-pad. After play, an in-game computer calculates earnings and losses. The game tracks cumulative results, aiming for a moving ending based on overall profit. The game also provides strategic advice, including analyzing parlor types and utilizing data analysis tools from the full strategy mode to improve play. This page previews QQ Sentai Blast Boy, a single-player action game focused on a dangerous urgent chase game within its one-player survival mode. The game, developed by ACT Japan, appears to be a chaotic experience involving human bomb sports with elements of trap evasion. The preview showcases stage breakdowns like Cube 9 Labo, Cube 10 Shooting Stage, and Cube 11 Behind You is, offering gameplay advice for each. Question boxes provide tips on handling traps. A manufacturer's message apologizes for a delayed release, calling this the last test. The game is nearing completion, boasting a 90% completion rate, and is priced at 5,800 yen. It supports up to 14 players. This page continues the stage guide for QQ Sentai Blast Boy. For Cube 12, called Stepping Stones, The guide advises using platforms to navigate narrow paths and warns about spikes along the way. Cube 13, named Footing, focuses on small moving platforms, emphasizing caution in zigzag paths to avoid falling. Magic Carpet in Cube 14 involves riding a moving platform while dodging enemies and projectiles. Cube 15, Wall Climb, is about utilizing mag boots to reach the crystal at the top, stressing the importance of mastering mag boot controls. Cube 16, Plasma Emitter Platform, requires timed movements to successfully dodge plasma beams. In Cube 17, Holy Grail, the objective is to navigate stairs and platforms to reach a crystal, which is presumably the Holy Grail. Cube 18, Bait Switch, introduces triggers and switches, requiring players to dodge spikes and enemies while using them. Cube 19, Plasma Training, is all about skillfully dodging plasma clouds while platforming. Lastly, Cube 20, Turnaround, features rotating platforms that demand precise timing to collect crystals and complete the level. There is also a Question 3 section that answers common jumping problems. It explains 3 jump types: normal, long, and small jumps, detailing the button presses and directional inputs needed for each, and also gives advice on judging jump distance based on the target's size. This page details special moves and normal mode strategies for the SEGA Saturn fighting game Advanced Variable Geo, focusing on 2 characters, Emi Yajima and Mana Sakuragi. For Emi Yajima, the page lists 4 special moves: Fireblaze Kick, Vacuum Bamboo Split, Rising Kick, and Rotation Parry. It explains that her special moves are effective against CPU opponents, especially Fireblaze Kick and Vacuum Bamboo Split. The guide advises using her long-reach standing punch and canceling it into special moves.
For Mana Sakuragi, the page presents 2 attack patterns. The first is Approach Pattern against Musashi Yuko, recommending the Rolling Attack move. The second is Rolling Attack 2 Pattern, advising players to use Rolling Attack 2 repeatedly, but cautioning about throw attacks if too close. The page also provides move lists for Mana Sakuragi, including Rolling Attack 2, Rolling Attack 3, and Neck Hanging Drop, with button inputs. It highlights that Mana's moves are fast and powerful, especially Rolling Attack 2, which is hard to block and effective in close combat, but advises against relying solely on close-range attacks due to her short reach. This page is the start of a SEGA Saturn software complete guide. It highlights 3 games: J-League Victory Goal 97, which it mentions will feature player data, Yushun Classic Road, and Worms. The image on the page features a vibrant scene of horse racing, which likely ties into the Yushun Classic Road game, a horse racing simulation. The page numbers at the bottom suggest that more detailed information about each of these games will be featured in the following pages of the guide. This page delves into the system and complete data for J.League Victory Goal 97. It explains 2 types of defense, line and libero, illustrating their formations visually. The page then details 7 types of tactics, including normal, offensive, defensive, counter, right side, left side, and center break, providing descriptions for each tactic. Finally, it showcases 12 key basic battle formations, systems, each with a name like 442, 442 DV, 352, 352 DV, and so on up to 541. Each formation is displayed with a diagram of player positions on a soccer field and a brief description outlining its strengths and gameplay style. The page is essentially a strategy guide for J-League Victory Goal 97, explaining defensive approaches, tactical options, and various team formations a player can utilize in the game. This page continues with the J.League Victory Goal 97 data, providing a comprehensive player data list. It details player abilities across various stats, graded from A to D. These stats include kick, speed, technique, balance, and stamina. The list is organized by team, and we can see the team names like Verity Kawasaki, Kashima Antlers, Urawa Reds Diamonds, and Jeff United Ichihara, along with their team logos next to each player roster. The information is presented in a table format, showing each player's position, number, stats, preferred foot, and kicker selection for set pieces. Essentially, this page is a detailed player stat sheet for J.League Victory Goal 97, allowing players to understand the strengths and weaknesses of each player in the game.
This page continues the player data for J.League Victory Goal 97, providing detailed stats for a number of J.League teams. We see team logos and player rosters listed in tables. Each table breaks down player abilities into categories like kick, speed, technique, balance, and stamina, graded from A to D.
The tables also show the player's position, jersey number, preferred foot, and set-piece taker status, indicated by PK, CK, or FK. Teams featured on this page include Yokohama Marinos, Shimizu Spulse, Yokohama Flugels, Bellmare Hiratsuka, and Nagoya Grampus 8. This is essentially a detailed reference guide for players to understand each team and player's strengths within J.League Victory Goal 97. This page continues the in-depth player data for J.League Victory Goal 97, showcasing more teams with their detailed player rosters and stats. We're looking at Kyoto Purple Sanga, Vissel Kobe, Gamba Osaka, Sanfrecce Hiroshima, Cerezo Osaka, and Avispa Fukuoka. Just like before, each team's section presents a table breaking down each player's abilities. These categories include kick, speed, technique, balance, and stamina, all graded from A to D. The tables also list each player's position, their jersey number, which foot they prefer, and whether they are designated for penalty kicks, PK, corner kicks, CK, or free kicks, FK. This page is a handy guide for players wanting to really understand the strengths and weaknesses of each team and player within J.League Victory Goal 97. This page is all about the in-depth breeding system in the horse racing simulation game Winning Post. It's diving into the nitty-gritty of creating the ultimate racehorse by focusing on nicks and inbreeding. The page explains nicks as the compatibility between certain bloodlines, suggesting that combining these bloodlines can result in superior horses. It's like finding the perfect match in genetics to boost your horse's potential. Then it moves on to inbreeding, which is breeding closely related horses. This is presented as a double-edged sword. While it can amplify desired traits and create powerful horses, it also carries risks like weakening the horse if done incorrectly. The page highlights that mastering both nicks and inbreeding is key to success in Winning Post, allowing players to strategically plan their breeding to produce champions. There are also sections that give quick tips about the benefits and risks of both breeding methods in the game, emphasizing that nicks increase winning chances and inbreeding boosts potential, but also carries risk. This guide for Winning Post provides practical breeding advice and gameplay tips. It explains nicks, specific bloodline combinations like Northern Dancer with Hail to Reason or Raise a Native, and how to identify them using the game's Z bloodline indicator. The guide also lists excellent broodmares, rating them based on track conditions and distances to help players choose top-quality females. Furthermore, the guide offers gameplay tips such as accelerating race simulations and navigating the stable and paddock. Advice from a special lecturer emphasizes prioritizing bloodlines and physique over prize money in breeding. The lecturer recommends inbreeding, particularly targeting 1 to 4 nicks and a 70% inbreeding coefficient over 5 generations, with the development team's testing validating these strategies. This SEGA Saturn Worms guide details the game's core mechanics and strategies. Up to 4 players control teams of 4 worms in a turn-based battle, utilizing a variety of weapons and environmental features. The guide offers advice on 4 key areas: team selection, map creation, hazard management, and weapon utilization. Players can customize teams and generate diverse maps using a seed system. Terrain and explosions are dangerous, requiring strategic movement via teleportation or digging. The game features a wide array of weapons, from projectile-based attacks like bazookas to strategic tools like drills and ropes. The guide emphasizes the enjoyment of versus play, highlighting the importance of anticipating opponents' moves and employing tactics like feints and strategic weapon use. Utilizing the environment, such as high ground and surprise attacks, is crucial for victory. This page is a Macworld Expo report from Tokyo held in February, focusing on Macintosh users. The event saw a large turnout and highlighted the theme of computers of the near future. The report details the introduction of new Macintosh models, including a PowerBook touted as the fastest globally at 240 MHz, and a digital camera. They also mention the eMate 300, a unique handheld device with a translucent green design, emphasizing its portability and powerful capabilities.
Bandai's Pipinet Mark multimedia player is featured, showcasing Apple and Bandai's collaboration. The article also touches upon gaming, mentioning Racing Days R, likely Daytona USA 3D racing in international territories, as an example of a game utilizing network capabilities for online battles. There's a mention of Spartacus, a limited edition Mac commemorating Apple's 20th anniversary, described as having a champagne gold case and a new design. The Newton and Pippin series are highlighted as unique Macintosh products, targeting specific markets like education. The report concludes by noting the increasing speed of computer games and the rise of internet battles, using Racing Days R as an example of a game that allows for virtual garage customization and online play. The reviewer seems enthusiastic about the future of computer gaming and the innovations showcased at the expo. This page details a behind-the-scenes report on the making of a Sakura Wars special feature. The editorial team went to various locations in Tokyo for material gathering. Starting early one Sunday morning in Ueno Park, they moved to Tokyo Tower, where they had a meal and filmed. Next, at Fushimi Pond, they focused on filming ducks, with photographer Tanaka-san directing. Back in Ueno Park, after initially searching for cherry blossoms and finding none, they decided to film in the woods instead. The team then visited Tsukiji Fish Market, seeking a good viewpoint for filming, despite restrictions on entry. Finally, in Asakusa, they enjoyed senbei crackers and filmed 3 individuals, Kujira-san, Okoshira-san, and Chiba-chan. The page concludes with messages from staff members who participated in the special feature, including Kaneko Yoshio, Morita Naomi, Okumura Keiichi, Kujira Mamoru, and Chiba-chan, giving their thoughts and experiences during the material gathering process. This page celebrates SNK and its games. It begins with a message from Shura thanking fans and apologizing for a delayed RPG release date. The main content is an SNK fan comprehensive exam, with 20 questions testing knowledge of SNK history, games, and characters, including questions on games like Samurai Showdown, Fatal Fury, and King of Fighters. There's also an announcement for the Real Bout Fatal Fury special arranged soundtrack CD, featuring arranged tracks like Terry's Theme, Blue Mary Blues, and Kurikanten, priced at 2,500 yen, with a first edition bonus. A Neo Geo Freaks Gathering Corner showcases fan art and birthday messages. Finally, Birthday of SNK lists March birthdays for various SNK characters, highlighting a month-long celebration. This page is all about a writers' battle royale held at Neo Geo World. It's a competition between writers featuring various game challenges. Round 1 kicked off with bowling, and it looks like Kenji scored the highest with 117 points. They then moved on to Round 2, Ultra Electric Irritating Stick, a maze game where Masa came out on top with 75 points. Round 3 was Flipland, a 4-player game, which Kenji also managed to win in Frame 1 mode. Ghost Hunters was Round 4, another 4-player game where Kenji dominated again with a score of 47,400. Round 5 was Neo Drift, a kart racing game, where Umarashi took first place. Finally, the ultimate showdown was in Real Bout Fatal Fury Special and King of Fighters 96. They had team battles in KOF 96, with teams like the Kogyaru Team, Lehman Team, Kindergarten Team, and Elderly Team. The results are in, and Kenji is the overall champion. The page includes a points table showing everyone's scores across all rounds, with Takab in second, Masa in third, and Mayama in fourth place. There's even a section announcing prizes for the winner and runner-ups, including gifts from SNK-like posters and KOF 96 posters. The participants left some comments too, mainly congratulating Kenji on his victory, though Takab seemed a little surprised he came in second. This page is a character guide for Goro Daimon in King of Fighters 96. It's part of a series focusing on character strategies within the game. The page emphasizes Goro's strengths in grappling and close-range combat, highlighting that he can dominate opponents who rely on projectiles or zoning tactics. The guide breaks down Goro's gameplay into key points, basic attack patterns, and advanced techniques. It suggests using command throws to punish opponents and control space, leveraging his reach and power. The page also details how to approach opponents at mid-range and how to effectively use jump attacks, especially after back-jumping and using a strong kick. The guide includes specific move examples like the air throw and heaven and earth return, Tenchi Gaeshi, and advises players to mix up throws with strikes to keep opponents guessing. It also touches on how to counter opponents' attacks and when to use Guerrero's super special moves effectively. The reviewer thinks Guerrero is a strong character, particularly for players who enjoy aggressive, close-quarters fighting styles, and emphasizes his throwing capabilities as a key to victory. The next page delves into a nostalgic look back at the evolution of video games and digital media. It starts by commemorating the GW4 launch and playfully contemplates the letter G in games. The main topic is centered around games in the old days. What was it like? Reminiscing about the early days of computer games before they became the entertainment industry powerhouse they are today. The article describes the early game scene as chaotic and underground. It mentions that in the past, games released on various consoles were often considered arcade classics and were played by hardcore gamers. The article reflects on how games were perceived back then, often seen as cheap or unrefined compared to modern titles. Despite this, the author notes that older games possessed a unique charm. The page features screenshots of various games. One prominently displays a large robot, seemingly from a Gundam game. Another looks like a side-scrolling action title, and there are puzzle games shown as well. A section titled, Internet Found Games, Interesting Games, highlights titles discovered online. It mentions Kung Fu Master, and talks about its visuals and depth, suggesting it could be reimagined in 3D. There are also snippets about Bomberman Korea, SoftBank King, and Puyo Puyo, discussing gameplay mechanics and character interactions. Finally, Namco's talk appears at the bottom, likely a concluding remark from the magazine, or a Namco representative related to the topic of retro games and digital media. This page talks about user-created RPG ideas for a game called Golden Fish Sherbet. It seems like they're encouraging readers to submit their ideas, emphasizing freedom of expression and not being constrained by typical RPG tropes. They want fresh, original concepts and are interested in story ideas and character designs. The page also discusses Series of Dreams, described as a digital novel series that explores the emotional connections between men and women. It mentions past releases in GW issues and a new digital novel called Frozen Water, which was previously featured in GW2. They talk about experimenting with storytelling and using GW2's methods in their game development. They are also looking into the possibilities of digital novel, comic. There's a small section where they discuss recording commercials, mentioning soft timing and location scouting. Another part is a staff column, where the writer reviews games like Romeo and Juliet and Ghosts and Darkness. He talks about the trend of games incorporating realistic feelings, even in unrealistic settings, and praises games that achieve this balance. Finally, there's an info section about a movie game, also titled Series of Dreams, set to release between March and May. It seems to be produced by the GW Information Department, involving film-like production for magazines and other media. The page ends with contact information for SEGA Saturn Magazine. This page is all about the upcoming SEGA arcade game, The House of the Dead. It's from SEGA's AM1 Research and Development Department, showcasing what to expect from this new gun-shooting game built on the Model 2 board. The article emphasizes the game's impressive and dynamic presentation, urging players to pay attention to the exciting visuals. A key feature highlighted is the branching paths, which are surprisingly intricate and not always obvious. Apparently, rescuing researchers during gameplay is a crucial factor in determining which path you'll take. This means your actions and choices will directly impact the game's progression and the scenes you'll encounter. The developers from AM1 expressed their dedication and passion for the project, hoping players will be impressed by the final product and even encouraging feedback. They also stress the cinematic quality of the game, with movie-like cutscenes, character dialogue, and voice acting, advising players to experience it as if watching a film. There are screenshots showcasing various in-game scenes, including gameplay and the branching path selection screens, hinting at the different routes available. The House of the Dead features a variety of enemies. The boss, Chariot Type 27, is a large metallic creature with shifting weak points, primarily the right shoulder. Gameplay emphasizes targeting these vulnerabilities. Encountering diverse undead and biomonsters created by humans, possibly drive Koreans, experiments, adds depth beyond typical zombies. These enemies have varied attack styles and toughness, requiring players to learn patterns and use the environment strategically. Animals, mutated dogs, crows, and bats, pose a different threat with their speed and swarming attacks, necessitating crowd control tactics. The game's narrative, highlighted with large red text, underscores a conspiracy-laden, tragic incident, promising a dramatic experience. This page showcases the SEGA AM3 R&D department's latest creation, Top Skater. It's all about pulling off funky trick plays in this skateboard game. The page emphasizes the trick system, explaining how players can use various obstacles like ramps and banks to perform diverse tricks and rack up high scores. Gameplay screenshots demonstrate tricks like FS tail grab and BS indie with score displays. It mentions beginner-friendly courses set in a seaside location and more challenging advanced courses set on a mountain at night. The goal is to complete a course within the time limit, performing tricks and accumulating points. The text highlights the excitement of landing difficult tricks and the satisfying, thrilling, and exciting skateboarding experience it provides. The game is described as using the Model 2 board and is positioned as a must-play for all boarders to experience the thrill of Top Skater. This page spotlights Top Skater, introducing 3 playable characters: Ash, the veteran skater; Kenta, the energetic teen; and Cookie, the cool and determined girl skater. It also features fan art submitted to AM3 R&D Illustration Corner Volume 19, showcasing drawings of characters from Last Bronx and Top Skater with artist comments. Finally, it announces the Today, Long Time No See event, taking place March 19th at Club Sita Kawasaki. This rave party, themed Metropolis Power Slam, features DJ Kenny Ken playing techno and house music, MCS, video game visuals, and promises hidden AM3 footage. The event is for ages 18 plus, or with parental guidance. This crossover Volume 5 page profiles the Last Bronx Pro developers, specifically director B-Mister of the Saturn versions. Presented in an interview format, the page features B-Mister's brief, often negative, answers to questions about the game's mechanics, sounds, and even character-specific details. Humorous and cynical comments accompany these answers. The page also unveils Mr. Bea's truth, highlighting his peculiar traits: a failed assassination attempt, a penchant for holding grudges, and naivete. Finally, it introduces several team members: OGA, director of a secret title and cart coupon aficionado; Maya, legal and motion researcher; Miyamu, PR and Fax Club promoter; Takaha, top skater designer; and Shinta, a designer with a passion for American toys. The page is playfully decorated with the words lie and roar. Game to the People, Group 3, seeks to reform the arcade industry. Their policies include combating player discrimination, arcade imperialism, and consumer wars. The page profiles several members: Chairman OGA, cunning; Legal Affairs Maya, violent; and PR Miyamu, former athlete. Lower-class members Takaha, top skater designer, and Shinta, toy enthusiast, are also introduced. File number 4 features Yanma, assistant director of Last Bronx, discussing the game's development and his SEGA experience. Humorous comments abound, revealing Yanma's ambition and naivete. File number 5 introduces Washio, assistant director of Virtua Cop, and humorously reveals his rivalry and attempts to undermine Yanma. The page highlights a 15% search rate and concludes with a call to action, urging readers to question media narratives and support the group's goals. This page is all about Virtua Striker 2 in AM2 Research Express, Weekly Volume 44. It's announcing that the lineup of national teams for the game has been decided, expanding from 18 in the previous game to 24. They mention that while 6 new slots were added, unfortunately Denmark didn't make the cut. They are excited about the 7 new countries joining and the diverse playstyles they will bring. The page lists the 24 participating nations, including countries like Japan, Italy, Brazil, Germany, England, France, Spain, and some new additions like Croatia, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, and Yugoslavia, amongst others. There's also a section featuring comments from Mr. Mifune, discussing the 2 teams in the game. He touches upon how the development focused on differentiating team styles and AI opponents, emphasizing the unique characteristics of each national team, and how players will experience diverse gameplay depending on who they choose or play against. He talks about the CPU opponents being more challenging and having varied playing styles.
We can also see screenshots of the game in action and the team selection screen.
Virtua Striker 2 promises exciting gameplay with an emphasis on super plays, showcasing impressive techniques like heel kicks, heading passes, and diving saves. The game will also feature a dynamic stadium atmosphere that changes with the time of day. Director Satoshi Mifune discusses the game's development, which is about 50% complete. The team is focusing on refining core elements and incorporating feedback. A key feature will be strategy switching, requiring players to adapt their tactics. The game will introduce new strategic elements and AI to reflect offensive/defensive strategies, promising deeper tactical battles. The developers are aiming for a strategic and engaging football experience. Virtua Striker 2 is scheduled for a spring 1997 release. This page delves into the world of Scud racetime attacks, guided by Osaki Makoto from AM2, who's introduced as the fastest racer in AM2 research. The page highlights key points for mastering time attacks in Scud Race, especially focusing on drift control and accelerator management. It specifically covers 2 beginner courses, Beginner Day Dolphin Tunnel and Beginner Night Twilight Airport, providing tips for each. For Dolphin Tunnel, the best lap time is recorded as 31.80 seconds, and the total time at 2 minutes 08.50 seconds. The tips emphasize drifting to the limit at checkpoint 1 and crucial accelerator work at checkpoint 2. The advice stresses maintaining a speed around 260 km per hour and controlling the car through drifts, particularly in the tunnel's tight corners. Twilight Airport's best lap is 28.50 seconds, and the total time is 1 minute 56.70 seconds. The tips here focus on tackling the complex corners, advising to drift early on the outside, then cut inside after the second apex. Checkpoint 1 emphasizes negotiating the 2 corners as one, and Checkpoint 2 highlights using the full width of the road, starting the drift early. The page generally advises that drift control and subtle accelerator adjustments are key to mastering Scud racetime attacks and achieving faster times than in standard time attack mode by effectively utilizing slipstreaming. This page continues the Scud Racetime Attack Guide, now moving on to the medium Mystery Ruins and Expert Classic Castle courses. For Mystery Ruins, the best lap is 48.80 seconds, and the total time is 2 minutes 35.50 seconds. The tips highlight the importance of a deep drift angle at checkpoint 2, using full braking at checkpoint 3 to navigate a corner, and drifting through the 3-curve section at checkpoint 4 leading into the final corner. The advice also points out to be careful at checkpoint 1 in the tunnel right after the start, as it's easy to crash. Moving on to the Expert Classic Castle course, the best lap is 50.50 seconds, and the total time is 2 minutes 39 seconds. Here, the tips emphasize deceleration before jump at checkpoint 2, full braking at the exit of the bridge at checkpoint 1, sticking to the inside wall through corners at checkpoint 3, controlling the accelerator to maintain speed at checkpoint 4, and finally running through the best racing line without worrying about the road at checkpoint 5. Both sections emphasize the need for precise drift control and speed management to achieve these times on more challenging courses.
This page is the soft review section, featuring opinions from different reviewer groups. First up, the Lady Users Group and Game Mania Group, along with guest writers, all give their verdicts on Advanced World War, Millennium Empire's Glory. The Lady Users enjoyed it, finding it strategic and well-made for players of all types, giving it a 7 out of 10. The Game Mania Group were very impressed, especially with the graphics and sound, awarding it a 9. The guest game writers also gave it a 9, highlighting the volume of content and smooth gameplay. Moving on, Godly Arms Fist is reviewed. The Lady Users scored it a 7, finding the graphics impressive and the gameplay enjoyable. However, the Game Mania Group were much less impressed, giving it a 4, criticizing the game system and balance. Finally, there are sections discussing accessibility for fighting game beginners and the appeal of 2D fighting games. One section asks if beginners can enjoy fighting games, and another dives into the question of whether 2D fighting games are still relevant, especially compared to Neo Geo games, concluding that while complex, they can still be very engaging. This page continues the soft review section. First up is The Conveni, a town development simulation game. The Lady Users Group enjoyed it, finding it cute and relaxing, like playing with dollhouses, and giving it a score of 7. The High Rollers Group enjoyed the simulation aspect of running a store and strategizing, giving it a 5. The guest writers gave it an 8, praising the store layouts and addictive gameplay. Next is Stand By Say You, a voice actor training game.
The Game Mania Group gave it a low score of 4, finding it difficult and unclear what to do, criticizing the confusing instructions and gameplay. Then, Tokimeki Memorial Selection, Ayana Shina is featured. This section highlights the appeal of this collection of Tokimeki Memorial content, focused on the character Ayana Shina. Mentioning it contains idol performance videos and photo session software. It is described as a must-have for fans who want to experience Ayana Shina that you've never seen before.
Finally, Flower Arrangement Battle Columns is reviewed.
This puzzle game is described as a continuation of the Column series, featuring new attack and defense elements, with cute characters. It is said to be a fully packed puzzle game that will satisfy Columns fans and newcomers alike. The Sega Saturn's upcoming game schedule for April to July, with a peek into September, reveals a diverse lineup. April features puzzle games like Puzzle Bobble 2X, strategy games like Command & Conquer and Civilization, fighting games with Virtua Fighter 2, action games like Waku Waku 7, and RPGs like Phantasy Star Step. May highlights adventure games like The Unsolved, shooting games like Game Heaven, and a racing RPG called Zillion Camp Doozy J-Type R. June brings fighting game Groove on Fight, with RAM-enhanced versions, and sports and action titles. July offers Extreme Samurai Spirits, strategy with The Ogre's Reckoning 2 Eyes, puzzle action games, and shooting games. The detective adventure game Cat the Ripper is scheduled for July 18th, alongside tabletop-style games. September tentatively lists Fans Phantom, an adventure game, suggesting future releases. This page continues the new Sega Saturn software schedule, now looking towards autumn and the rest of 1997. For autumn, there's a mix of genres like the fighting action of Guilty Gear, the RPG heroic Spirit Hero Gal Act Heroism, simulation with Hop Step Idol, a tentative FPS title Prism Court, and the table game Let's Play Mahjong Love 2. Moving into 97 Year Inside, the schedule remains varied. Raising simulation is featured in Wizard's Harmony 2, alongside action in QQ Pack, and miscellaneous titles like Snow Queen and Virtual Theater. Table games are represented by Mario Mushano's Super Shogi Club and 3D Ultra Pinball. Puzzle games include Renza Love Chain, and adventure fans can look forward to Phantom Thief Saint Tail. Action RPGs are present with Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, and Faradun, The Legend of Dragon Castle. Simulation games are abundant, spanning from celebrity-focused titles like Dream Square Maria Yamada to sports games such as J-League Excite Stage V1, racing with a tentative motocross, and even horse racing in Stakes Winner 2.
Shooting games like Cotton 2 and Gekurinden are listed, alongside action titles like Silhouette Mirage and Mr. Bones. Intriguingly, Fatal Fury 3 Lightning Angel is listed as a simulation, which seems unusual for the fighting game series. There are also educational titles like Game Japanese History and other miscellaneous titles, including the risque Miniskirt Police, showing a very broad range of games planned for the Sega Saturn. This article uncovers hidden features in various Saturn games. In Daytona USA Circuit Edition, holding X, Y, Z, and R during car selection unlocks a super-fast Daytona car. Fantasy Zone features hidden options like Music Title and Auto Rapid, accessible by pressing L and R in the options screen, though specific in-game actions might be needed to activate them. Fuyasu and Shunsuke's One Day of Continuing Harmony of Seasons, likely Sundays and Seasons, has gallery pictures that change based on the Saturn's internal clock, allowing players to manipulate the date to view all seasonal variations. Battle Barba's Versus mode features seasonal road graphics that change for holidays like New Year's and Christmas, adding a unique visual flair. These secrets enhance the gameplay experience for dedicated fans. The article explores the concept of multiple viewpoints in art and games, drawing parallels to insect vision and Picasso's art. It argues that considering multiple perspectives can resolve trivial disagreements. It highlights the potential of television games to stimulate the brain, using the Picasso-like adventure game Eve Burst Error as an example of this. The game, a Sega Saturn title with a complex narrative structure, allows players to experience the story from various viewpoints, mirroring Picasso's simultaneous presentation of multiple perspectives in his art. A section featuring Dr. Fuse emphasizes the importance of flexible thinking and embracing game-like thinking,
suggesting it can help children develop this crucial skill in modern society, further reinforcing the theme of multiple perspectives as essential. This page is all about Soccer Wars merchandise, specifically 2 books. The first is advertised as an original art and setting material collection, and it sounds like a must-have for fans. It's packed with content like posters, costume design sketches, and even unreleased materials. They've even got interviews with the staff, which should give some great insights into the game's development. The second book is called Shocking Secret File, which sounds intriguing. This one comes as a cradrom and is loaded with artwork and settings for characters and mecha, essentially all the visual elements that couldn't fit into the game itself. Both books are described as being hugely popular and are currently on sale. They list the prices and compatible platforms, mentioning SEGA Saturn, Windows, Macintosh, 3Do, and PCFX, so quite a wide range of systems for accessing the Clydrom content. It's a great snapshot of the kind of supplementary material that was popular back then for games like Soccer Wars.
This page is a reader's present page from SEGA Saturn Magazine, detailing a giveaway for its readers. It starts by listing the winners of a previous contest. The current giveaway features 6 prize categories. First up are SEGA Saturn games themselves, with 20 lucky winners able to choose any Saturn game released up to March 7, 1997. There's also a Street Fighter II premium clock from Capcom as a prize for 3 winners. 6 winners can get their hands on a 04 Champ Doozy J poster and telephone card set. For handheld gaming fans, there's a Suko Band minigame, a portable LCD game for 5 winners. 3 people can win a Darius hand towel from Taito, described as a good luck charm with a fish design. Finally, for Virtual-On enthusiasts, 3 copies of the Virtual-On Perfect Guidebook from SoftBank are up for grabs. The page includes application guidelines for entering the giveaway, requiring readers to send a postcard with their answers and details before the deadline. There's also an information section mentioning that while new game scoops are limited in this issue due to the upcoming Tokyo Game Show, the next issue on March 21st will be packed with SEGA Saturn news and will answer reader questions. The staff credits for the magazine are also listed at the bottom of the page, and a phone number is provided for inquiries. This page showcases the game, or, as it's known internationally, Kaiser Knuckle. It's being promoted as a white-hot aerial battle that will change fighting games. The page highlights a special figure present campaign for the game. It looks like players who buy the initial production run of Kaiser Knuckle for SEGA Saturn and send in the included application postcard can enter a giveaway. The prize is a set of 4 Kaiser Knuckle special figures. The campaign is for all applicants who meet the requirements. The application deadline is April 21, 1997, and it mentions that delivery of the figures might take some time. The figures include characters like Sanao, Godly Emperor-type male, Benton, Fortune God-type female, and Chichin, Thunder God Wind God twin girls. There are images of these figures shown on the page too. The game itself is priced at 5,800 yen. Below the main game promo, there are small screenshots showing in-game action and character portraits, giving a glimpse of the Kaiser Knuckle world and its cast. It seems like SNK is the publisher and Saurus/System Vision are credited in the copyright section. This page is all about Stakes Winner 2, subtitled Strongest Horse Legend for the SEGA Saturn. It's being heavily promoted as bringing the thrill of arcade horse racing to the Saturn. They're boasting about a complete recreation of the arcade version's arcade mode and a powered-up breeding mode, which were both well received in the original game. The aim is to become the world's strongest horse and conquer global races. As a special bonus, they're running a campaign where you can get an original odds card if you buy the game. It seems like if you send in the postcard included with the PS or SS versions of Stakes Winner, 100 lucky people will receive these original odds cards with a deadline of April 10th. The page also shows screenshots of the game in action, featuring horses racing and in-game menus. It's labeled as a horse racing action game and is slated to be on sale in May 1997 for 5,800 yen before tax. Saurus is listed as both the developer and publisher. This page showcases Manx TT Superbike for the SEGA Saturn, highlighting it as the definitive version of the real bike racing game. The page boasts it recreates the world's toughest motorcycle race, the Isle of Man TT, letting players test their riding techniques. It mentions that the arcade hit is powered up for the SEGA Saturn, featuring split-screen 2-player versus mode, original bikes,
and real video footage as new elements. The game is priced at 5,800 yen and is described as a race drive title compatible with both racing and multi-controllers. The screenshots show in-game racing action and track layouts.